heat, with people claiming they were tricked into signing or that gatherers didn't properly explain what it was. Since then, Better Boundaries launched a signature removal campaign and has gotten roughly 7,000 signatures off, and almost 1,000 of those are in the Salt Lake City area. That means the ballot initiative no longer meets the proper requirements. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
We have also received a statement from Republican Party Chair Robert Axson. He says the party has significant concerns about the practices utilized by the opposition and will continue to review the signature validation and removal process. He added, "This fight is not over, but just beginning." Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A month into the war with Iran, sources say the U.S. and Iran have been trading messages through Pakistan, despite denials from inside Tehran. ABC's Rachel Scott reports.
Even this morning, the president is insisting that Iran is begging the United States to make a deal, saying that if they do not get serious soon, it won't be pretty. But Iran says they are not interested in negotiating with the U.S.
An Iranian military spokesman actually sarcastically asked if America was negotiating with themselves. Your money at this moment. The Dow right now down 75 points. We're at 46,349. Coming up much cooler today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Taxes was waiting on the refund you needed yesterday.
All right, your car repair is going to run about $3,000.
Now Taxes is getting back on the road with TurboTax and Credit Karma, where you can get your refund up to 5 days faster and get personalized guidance to take every dollar further. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Deposit a federal refund into Credit Karma Money account and early submission of refund data by IRS required. Terms apply. Banking services provided by MVB Bank, Inc. Member FDIC. Credit Karma is not a bank.
Imagine a world where you can leave the house and take your home Wi-Fi speeds with you. Thanks to Xfinity Mobile, it's not just a fantasy. Just picture it. You're at your kid's soccer practice, streaming the other game in 4K. Just like that. In the airport, download a cozy family comedy in a snap with Wi-Fi Power Boost. What if the places you had to be felt more like everywhere you wanted to be? That's the magic of Xfinity Mobile. Reliable Wi-Fi and 5G when you need it. Xfinity. Imagine that. Cut your mobile bill in half with 2 lines of unlimited. Visit XfinityMobile.com to learn more. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Internet required. Savings based on promotional rate for 2 lines of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited versus regular rates for 2 lines of T-Mobile Experience More, Verizon Unlimited Plus, and AT&T Starter as of 2/10/26. Taxes, fees, extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Xfinity. Imagine that.
You may not think about Great Salt Lake, but it's affecting your life every day. It brings lake effect snow and epic powder days. It supports thousands of jobs that keep Utah thriving. It provides a haven for millions of birds. And it keeps our air cleaner and our summers cooler. It also could affect your home's value, your kids' asthma, your morning run, your powder days, your future. Without a healthy lake, we face toxic dust storms full of mercury and arsenic, along with higher health costs, fewer jobs, and lower home values. This isn't just an environmental issue, it's personal. The lake affects you. Now, it's your turn to affect the lake, because our lives depend on our lake. Act now at growgsl.org.
We have an emergency traffic situation brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. What's going on, Cormac?
Well, Amanda, we've got a crash eastbound on the 201 freeway at Bangerter Highway, blocking 2 left lanes, so there's only 1 lane of traffic getting through. It's stop-and-go traffic reaching back to Mountain View corridor, and they had it closed for a second, transitioning some of the vehicles over from the left to the right, so those delays stacked up pretty quick. I-15 through Utah County really clearing up, but in Salt Lake County we still have some I-15 delays working their way out. Northbound approaching Bangerter Highway, and then both directions at the south interchange of I-15 do have those heavier delays in place. And we do have a crash on northbound I-215's west belt at the 201 interchange, off on the right shoulder behind the construction cone, so it doesn't look like they're adding to delays there. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny today, but much cooler. A high of only 65. More of the same tomorrow. That's still about 7 degrees above normal. We're back in the 70s for the weekend. Right now it's 57 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, we are learning this morning that the Republican-led initiative to repeal Proposition 4 may have failed. And Holly, if you'll recall, Proposition 4 was...
It has failed, okay. Not may have, Mr. Attorney.
Well, there's always, it's alleged. No, you're right. So Proposition 4 was passed by the voters in 2018. It was one of 3 ballot initiatives that year, and Proposition 4 was a proposition to create a districting commission,
independent redistricting commission. Yep.
They made studies. Those were bantered back and forth. There was a lawsuit filed as a result of that, where we have 4 different congressional districts that will be on the ballot this November, no matter what. But the Republicans were trying to get really essentially put it back on the ballot.
That's right, in
by
November.
Gathering signatures. Mm-hmm. What happened was apparently some of the signatures have been withdrawn.
Yeah. So the way that they were getting at this, and I will say just right off the top, is that there are multiple approaches that Republicans are trying to undo this Proposition 4, which passed, as you mentioned, in 2018, that would create this independent redistricting commission, and not only that, put constraints on the Utah legislature if they did not accept the independent redistricting maps. So that aside, this effort to put signatures, or to get signatures to put this on the ballot, they had to get 141,000 or so verified signatures. They had over 220,000, I think. So the signature issue wasn't the problem. The problem was they also had to get a certain percentage in 26 out of 29 Senate districts. And they got exactly 26 out of 29. So there were still 3 Senate districts where they didn't even reach the threshold. So what that meant is if signatures were removed and took one of those districts down below that level required, then the whole thing failed, and that is what happened.
Because they had none to lose.
They had none to lose, no districts to lose. What's interesting to me is how many signatures have been removed. It's in the thousands have been removed overall. And just for comparison, if you remember the Public Union Collective Bargaining Ban, the Citizens Initiative there to address that issue,
right.
In Salt Lake County, they only had 12, 12 total removed, right. And this is in the thousands. So we have Brigham.
Oh, the signatures that were people said, hey, time out, that's not what I meant.
Exactly. Yeah,
wow.
Exactly. So people changed their mind, or they felt like they were misled, or they didn't understand. So we have with us Brigham Tomko from the Deseret News, and he's the one who broke the news this morning. So congratulations on that, Brigham.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is kind of the end of a winding saga that started back in October when Utah Republican Party Chair Rob Axson said he was going to file an initiative to reverse the 2018 initiative. And this is kind of the end result of months of back and forth between the Utah Republican Party and Better Boundaries, the group that originally sponsored Proposition 4.
Okay, so I challenged Holly, maybe she challenged me, and I said it's apparently going that way. Has it been decided, Brigham, that in fact it will not be on the ballot then this year?
Yeah, so February 15th was the final day to submit signatures gathered by Utahns for Representative Government, which is the committee set up by the Utah Republican Party to gather signatures for this petition to get Proposition 4 back on the ballot. Well, in the intervening month and 10 days, people who signed that petition, once they see their name appear on the lieutenant governor's website, have been able to request their county clerk that their name be removed if they feel like they were misled or changed their mind. And there's kind of a rolling 45-day deadline, which means 45 days after you see your name appear on the lieutenant governor's website, you can remove your name or request that your name be removed. So April 23rd is actually the deadline that petition signers will have to remove their name. And so what we saw with the latest update from yesterday evening of processed signature removal requests is that the threshold, or I guess the number of signatures in Senate District 15 here in Cottonwood Heights and Midvale, fell below that 8% of all voter threshold. And so that means that they lost that 26 out of 29 districts that they had completed and no longer qualify for the ballot in November.
So just to be clear, there's not really recourse right now for Republicans to challenge signature removers. As I understand it, the only recourse they have would maybe be to go to the courts.
Yeah, that's my understanding too. And the number of signature removal requests that are processed is only going to continue to go up. And the number of total signatures verified can no longer go up. That hit its maximum about 2 weeks ago when county clerks finished verifying all the signatures that they had. And so from then, it was just a slow trickle down. And what we've seen over the course of the past month is about 7,000 signature removal requests successfully processed. And so that is the result of Better Boundaries and other groups reaching out directly to people that had signed and asking them if they really did want Proposition 4 to be back on the ballot or not.
What has been the reaction, if any, Brigham, so far from the Utah Republican Party to this latest news?
So I received a statement from Republican Party Chair Rob Axson yesterday. He said that they continue to have concerns with the signature removal campaign, which in some cases reached out directly to thousands of petition signers with pre-filled out and formatted letters, even with prepaid postage, to reach out to their county clerk. That was later challenged by a lawsuit and then a clarification to state code on the final day of the legislative session that would prohibit those from being counted because they had prepaid postage. And so he said that they're still looking into concerns they have about the signature removal campaign. And he also said that this is just the beginning or one of many, like Holly kind of alluded to, fights that the Republican Party is taking to try and repeal Prop 4. And he said eventually they will succeed, whether that's through the courts or new statute or through a ballot initiative.
So, Brigham, I think it's interesting that Republicans have used the signature removal process to keep a Count My Vote initiative off of the ballot. This was back actually in 2018. I think that's interesting, right? Because they've used it before to prevent an initiative from going forward, and now it's being used, and they're on the other side of it. And so one of the things I understand from your article that Chair Rob Axson said is that they're planning on either continuing litigation or initiative, but they're not going to give up until they can get rid of this Proposition 4, which creates this independent redistricting commission. Is that right?
Exactly. And from the very beginning, when Rob Axson launched this ballot initiative in its current form back in November, the Republican Party was always in kind of a tricky position because they had been very vocal criticizing the ballot initiative process, and state Republican leaders had made sure to really raise the bar on successful ballot initiatives, making them fairly difficult to get the signatures and get them on the ballot. And then the GOP has been trying to use that process and that system they had criticized to reverse the ballot initiative, as one of many attempts to kind of undo the process that they think has led to a new congressional district map with a Democrat-leaning district in Salt Lake County. And the response I got from Better Boundaries Executive Director Elizabeth Rasmussen is that they aren't done either. They're here for the long haul to convince voters that Proposition 4 has improved the state, and that as it's implemented in the future, if the legislature allows it to be implemented in the future, it will create a more fair electoral boundaries, map drawing process. And so, both sides have kind of dug in, and it seems like Utah's redistricting battle is is not over yet.
All right. Thanks for that. That was Brigham Tonko from the Deseret News, who broke the story this morning that the Utah Republican petition to repeal that redistricting law has failed. We have also reached out to GOP Chair Rob Axson for additional response. But next, we're going to have live reaction from Better Boundaries. Stay with us when we come back.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and they watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror. I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because,
That is something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, ANDcollar.com.
Hi, everyone. It's Congressman Blake Moore here. I'm proud to support legislation that strengthens the integrity of our elections. I voted for the Save America Act, which requires proof of citizenship when registering to vote and a valid photo ID at the polls. Utah has long prioritized transparent, secure, and accessible elections. Passing this legislation helps encourage the rest of the country to follow our lead. To learn more about what I'm doing in Congress, sign up for my weekly e-newsletter at blakemore.house.gov and follow along on social media at Rep. Blake Moore. It's our honor to serve you and your family in Congress. Thank you. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Only one type of burger. For every pallet. Fries are extra. Large in size. We've got the shakes. Going over the brim.
Hey, this is Chris from JCW's. Put a positive, delicious spin on your day at any one of our 5 locations. In Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, or Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
Does your home have peeling paint or faded colors? Don't procrastinate. You need to protect your home with quality paint and a worry-free process, so make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. You quickly get a free estimate that's detailed, easy to understand, and then their trusted local professionals will bring fresh color to your home with quality craftsmanship at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro.com.
Calling all Jazz fans. If you can't wait another second to see stars like Ace Bailey and Lowry Markkanen tear up the court, you're in luck. Tickets are on sale now. Let's go! No matter what you're looking for, the Utah Jazz has your back. With season tickets, mini plans, and single game options available, there's something for everyone. Whatever your schedule or budget, there's a plan for every fan. Don't miss a moment of the action this season. Secure your tickets today at utahjazz.com.
Did you know GoodRx can help you save on medication, manage prescriptions, and get trusted health information? If you're one of the millions living with a heart condition, check GoodRx for an easier, more affordable way to manage your health. GoodRx offers common heart medications for under $30. Just search for your prescription, find the best price, then show your pharmacist the GoodRx coupon. And it works whether you have insurance or not. To start saving and better manage your heart health, download the free app or visit GoodRx.com today. GoodRx is not insurance but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Bring your visions to life with smart business buying tools and technology from Amazon Business. From fast, free shipping to in-depth buying insights and automated purchase approvals, we deliver everything you need to achieve your goals. Go to AmazonBusiness.com for support.
Come on, the meeting's already started.
Sometimes it's important.
Last call, boarding gate number 9.
Sometimes it's urgent.
Prep for alarm.
Sometimes it's vital. Hospital treatment within 1 hour of a stroke can prevent lifelong disability. If you notice someone experiencing sudden weakness on one side or having a problem speaking, walking, or seeing, call 911 fast. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
And expanded Inside Sources.
And we're going to expand our conversation regarding this initiative that would have put the Proposition 4 back on the ballot in November and allowed the voters to, I guess, reconsider that entire thing. However, the initiative failed because this number of signatures, at least in a particular district, don't reach the threshold that's necessary. So it seems that at this point in time that will not be on the ballot in November.
Well, not in that format. So let's be clear.
Okay.
That there's actually multiple ways to get at this issue, and we'll talk with our next guest about that a little bit. But on this issue, with a citizens initiative saying we want to reconsider our actions, basically on the 2018 vote that said we want an independent redistricting commission in the state of Utah, and we want to put boundaries on what the Utah legislature can consider if they don't take the maps proposed by this redistricting commission, that has failed. And there were two parts to it. One, they had to get a certain number of signatures, and they did reach that threshold. But the second part is they needed to get a percentage, 8%, I think, of the registered voters in 26 of the 29 Senate districts. They met that threshold in 26 of 29. However, we're in the process, in the time period where people can remove their names up to April 23rd.
Right.
And the latest information, as we talked about last time, is that in a Senate district in Cottonwood Heights and Midvale here in Salt Lake County, that they have dropped below that by several hundred signatures now, and that will just continue. So now they haven't met the requirements.
Yeah, and there's still 3 weeks for people to continue
That's
to
right.
have their signatures removed.
That's
so
right.
It's probably going to get worse.
It's just that there's other ways to get to it. But we're going to talk first to Better Boundaries Executive Director Elizabeth Rasmussen. Thanks for joining us again, Elizabeth.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What's your response to the news this morning that there's the signature removal now has made this initiative, the repeal, fall below the required numbers?
With those reports, I mean, we're following them right now. It really just shows how much misleading information there was around this petition in general. I mean, there have been reports on that throughout the whole process, but this has only been successful because the people themselves, once presented with factual information, decided that they want an independent redistricting commission to stay in Utah.
What happened in the interim since some of these people signed? You say now 7,000 have taken their signatures off. What happened to educate them or to change them or to have people reevaluate what they had done?
Well, we did outreach, and this was in response to the hundreds of emails and phone calls we received of people who said, hey, I signed this, and I don't think it's what they said it was. And so once we looked into that, we started texting people, making phone calls, sending out mail, asking people, hey, did you mean to sign this? And if you didn't, you have a process to remove your signature. And that's been our program. We also had some volunteers as well who would go door to door to people who requested help with removing their signature.
So my understanding, Elizabeth, is this isn't the first time that there's been a campaign to get people to remove their signatures from a petition. I think in 2018 it was the Republicans on the other side getting people to remove their signature on a Count My Vote initiative. Is that your understanding as well?
Yeah, that's correct. That's the only one I know of that also was disqualified after it qualified. But maybe there's others, but that's the one we're most aware of.
Okay. So a question I have for you, and I kind of alluded to it at the beginning of this segment, is what are the other things on the table to really get at this independent redistricting commission and also the ability for Utah citizens to impact their form of government? Because I know there's multiple.
Yeah, really great question. What we are looking at right now is what the legislature has indicated, that they will be revising something that they tried before in 2024. It was called Amendment D, where it would rewrite the Utah Constitution to allow the legislature to amend or repeal any initiative once it passes by the people. And so it would really get at that alter and reform clause of our Constitution, the right that we have to alter and reform our government. And so we expect this to come up. It didn't come up during the general session. So it's possible they'll convene a special session to tackle this. And if it passes special session, that question would be on our ballot in November. And so that's just one thing that we expect could happen. But if there's one thing I've learned from this job is that many things are unexpected. So I bet there's going to be a lot more. We just don't know what those things are yet.
Given what's happened here, Elizabeth, and I'm just sort of thinking out loud here, even if that particular constitutional amendment was on the ballot, it seems like the weight of the citizenry right now is against this. So I don't know. I mean, Republicans may be sorry, for what they're asking for if they want to change the Constitution, because it seems like I don't know. Maybe this is just a statement more than a question, but it seems like the citizens feel like these ballot initiatives make sense, and people do like to be able to do that, and maybe changing the Constitution isn't going to pass either.
Yeah, I mean, that's what our polling and just word on the ground that we've heard from people is that people do like this process, and they like having that check on government. So I do think that would be a misstep if the legislature did do this, and just a long line of ways that they've tried to undermine this among other ballot initiatives. But I mean, I guess we'll see what happens.
Can you speak about the ongoing lawsuit? Isn't there still an issue in front of the Utah Supreme Court on this?
So I'm trying to keep track of all the different lawsuits right now. But the Utah Supreme Court, at least on the maps, they dismissed the federal lawsuit that happened after a 3-district. It wasn't the Utah Supreme Court. That was the federal court. And then the Utah Supreme Court dismissed the appeal because they said that it was after they missed the deadlines. And so, I mean, it's possible there's further litigation that could happen from this. We just don't know. Okay. But that's where we are.
I thought that there was still an issue in front of the Utah Supreme Court, so that they dismissed the stay on the map changes. So we've got the maps for the 2026 election, but I thought they were still considering the question of whether Judge Gibson was right in her ability to change. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but I thought there was 2 parts to that lawsuit.
You're correct. There are 2 parts to that lawsuit, and I need to check on the timeline for the other one, the other question. And so that's a good reminder for me to go back and look to see where we are there. We're not a plaintiff in that case, and so I've been focused more on the lawsuits that we're directly involved with right now. But
there's so many. I'm sorry.
There's so many. There's so many right now.
What role does Better Boundaries play right now in all of this? Because I think some people thought that it was part of the redistricting commission, not necessarily the commission, but it was Better Boundaries was just set up. Well, why don't you just tell us what is Better Boundaries doing now with respect to all of this?
Yeah, great question. We're doing a lot. I mean, we thought we'd be an organization that was only active for maybe 1 or 2 years, but of course, so much has happened. And so, I mean, we still support plaintiffs in the redistricting lawsuit or other lawsuits that have to do with voter rights, mostly financial support for legal fees. And we also just advocate for transparent government reform and protecting our constitutional rights to alter and reform our government. And so as long as those questions are still in front of voters, we anticipate our organization still being very active.
All right. Thank you very much. That was Better Boundaries Executive Director. And, Elizabeth Rasmussen, she answered my question better than I asked it, but I sort of thought Better Boundaries was a temporary organization.
It was intended to be that way.
Maybe because there's ongoing litigation. And I do think there is something still in the courts. And Elizabeth articulated it really well, but the appeal of Judge Gibson's ruling hasn't reached its finality, I don't think. Nonetheless, we should feel comfortable that the ballot in November of 2026 will be as it's currently set up.
The maps will be as currently set up with donut hole, basically district in Salt Lake City. And we also, one of the things I guess that she reminded me is that they're not plaintiffs on that other lawsuit. I think that's the Utah League of Women Voters and maybe Mormon Women for Ethical Government.
Exactly.
But honestly, there's a number of groups who've been working on this issue, and so it was hard even for us to keep straight.
Yeah, well, maybe that chapter has ended, and we'll see. There's probably another chapter about to begin. But gas has reached over $4 in Utah. Some stations reporting $4.16. Ouch. It's not.
My neighborhood is 419.
My electric car just looks better and better every day. Here's something you might not expect, but even simple habits like parking in the shade can actually give you a little bit better gas mileage and let your gas tank last a little bit longer. We'll talk about more ways to save after the break.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, a man accused of running over and killing Santaquin Police Sergeant Bill Hoosier 2 years ago is back in court this morning. The hearing will go over evidence as the case moves toward trial. KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff has more.
May of 2024, Sergeant Bill Hoosier was pulled over a semi-truck after reports were called in of someone riding on the back of the truck. Christine Hinckley says she was talking to Sergeant Hoosier at the side of the road when
he drove a little bit and turned that whole 80,000-pound, 53-foot reefer trailer around, sharp turn like a pro, just whoosh, and then turned around and then was going for us.
If convicted of killing Sergeant Hoosier, Michael Jane could be facing the death penalty. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is set to return to Manhattan federal court this morning.
For more than a decade, Nicolas Maduro enjoyed an opulent lifestyle as Venezuela's president, living in a palace in Caracas and accruing a net worth reportedly in the millions. But as he awaits trial in a Brooklyn jail cell on narco-terrorism charges, the ousted head of state is now pushing to have his case dismissed by arguing he doesn't have enough money to pay for his own legal defense. A judge is set to consider that argument this morning when Maduro returns to court for a conference that could determine the trajectory of the criminal case against him. Peter Harwell-Lambus, ABC News.
We will have bracket updates again today, every 15 minutes throughout the Sweet 16 here on KSL News Radio, starting at 5 p.m. It's brought to you by the Stern Team Omada. Your money at this moment, the Dow right now down 190. That's 0.4%. We're at 46,238. Coming up much cooler today than yesterday. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. You can feel the spring in the air. As a matter of fact, we've been feeling the spring in the air all winter long. But as the season genuinely changes, it's time to make your reservation at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Hotel Park City, and downtown Salt Lake City. And don't forget, quite a few great events are just around the corner, including some holidays. We'll have a lot of visitors in Salt Lake City before long, and it's time to make your reservation at the downtown location, 275 South West Temple. And of course, up in the mountains, it is beautiful. There's still some skiing going on. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse is right there at Hotel Park City. The best meal you have ever had awaits you at Ruth's Chris, whether it's steaks, whether it's poultry, whether it's seafood, the side dishes, the desserts. You're going to love Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, downtown Salt Lake City, and Hotel Park City.
I was in foot pain for 20 years, trying to give it relief, buying all these different insoles. Drugstore insoles, custom insoles. I spent thousands of dollars. I bought all these products, and not a single one worked. I really, truly needed to have relief in my feet. And the Good Feet arch supports were what gave me the relief I needed.
For over 20 years, we've been helping people like Teresa actually live the life they love without their feet getting in the way.
They wanted to make sure that I got something that my feet felt good in, not somebody else's feet. I love the fact that I can wear these arch supports in all my shoes. I have boots, I have cowboy boots, I have running shoes, I have walking shoes, I have flat shoes, I have heels. It makes me so happy. If you ask my husband, he will crack up because there is no store I would rather go in than a shoe store. I'm Teresa, and that's my Good Feet story.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-979-3535. That's 800-979-3535. 800-979-3535.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. And back to you, Cormac.
We are seeing the delays eastbound on the 201 freeway easing out now that they've moved the crash from blocking left lanes over to the right shoulder at the end of the on-ramp from Bangerter Highway. They are going to be blocking that right lane at the end of the on-ramp from Bangerter Highway to eastbound on the 201. Heaviest delays are just after Mountain View Quarter, though, eastbound on the 201 freeway. We also have heavier delays southbound Legacy Highway going from Bountiful into Woods Cross. This is due to construction. It looks like they may have some lane restrictions in place there. We have other crashes on our roads, not adding to delays, though. Southbound I-15, there is a crash in the right shoulder near Warm Springs Road, and northbound Highway 89 just at the mouth of Weber Canyon, also blocking the right shoulder. The deadline for filing taxes is now. Don't miss the chance to donate your car to Cars for Kids for a 2026 tax deduction. Go to carsforkids.org today. That's Cars with a K. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny today, but much cooler than yesterday. Only 65 for a high 67 tomorrow before we bounce back up into the upper 70s for the weekend. Right now, it's 57 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Gas prices have not only broken the $4 barrier, but they're continuing to rise. $4.16 is today the average price of gasoline in Utah for a gallon. I think that's going to be slightly more tomorrow. It seems to be changing every day.
My neighborhood gas station is $4.19 this morning. It's up 30 cents in 1 week.
Ouch.
Just in a week. So, look, I was interested to find out that there's actually things you can do to help increase your gas mileage. You have an electric car, so I don't want to talk to you anymore. But there were things that I didn't even know. So we have with us KSL investigative reporter Matt Gebhardt. You have some really interesting ideas that I didn't even know are things to help us save.
Yeah, well, and good morning. And, yes, gas is expensive right now, but energy is energy. And so, I mean, these rules apply to the amount of energy that has to be burned, whether you're having to pay to charge your car, or whether you're having to pay to put gasoline in. So, but yeah, they're the little things. There's everything from artificial intelligence and how that has created some ways for us to save, to increase our fuel economy. And then also things that, our dads used to say to us, and how true are they? So, yeah, we just ran a few numbers on some of these things.
Yeah, I know that when energy prices increase, and Holly's sort of joking at me because I have an electric car, but energy for electricity is increasing too.
Yeah.
And there are ways that we do things with electric cars. For example, you can program your car so that the charger starts at a certain time of day or night when the usage of electricity is less. In some cities, my son's in California, he said, you got to charge at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's when you get your premium electric cost.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit cheaper. But we want to know from our listeners as well, if you're doing something right now to save gas, text us at 57500. But people have to, as they start spending more and more on gasoline, rethink things they're doing, and because now it's getting fairly real expensive to go to work and back every day.
Yeah, I mean, and these pennies add up, right? When it's a whole gallon and you walk in there, I mean, the three of us are old enough to remember the time when it was like, oh my gosh, it broke $1, and now we're sitting here looking at these things, and it's like, my goodness. So let's start with the new technology, right? The artificial intelligence. So we put to the test there. Google Maps has, when you open your mapping app and say, here's where I want to go, and it draws 3 or 4 different lines on the map, and you can choose which one you want. Mm-hmm. One of those on Google has a little green leaf next to it, and that is supposed to be the fuel-efficient route. And so we put to the test to see how it worked. And the short answer is it did, a little bit. On a drive from Harriman to Salt Lake City, which we tested a couple of different times, a couple of different ways, a couple of different vehicles, saved about a half a gallon of gas. So on today's prices, if you're commuting from Harriman to Salt Lake City, that's like $2. When with gas prices hovering around $4, a little more, a little less, depending on where the gas prices are on any given day. But that $2 adds up if you're doing it every single day. There's trade-off, of course, because the way you save that fuel, the way you save the money on fuel is you have to pay for it in time, right? Because there are studies that talk about how basically for every 10 miles per hour slower you drive, you end up saving about your fuel economy increases by about 12%. And so, in this test, for example, the person, when we took the freeway, we were burning more fuel than when we took Bangerter Highway, and we were burning more fuel on Bangerter Highway than we were if we just kind of took surface streets. But then it factors in other things like idling and sitting at traffic lights and all those sorts of things. So artificial intelligence will give you a map that will help you save some fuel. The trade-off is time.
Yeah.
And the real trade-off we found was the time on those maps, as we've all experienced, is not really always accurate, right? So it said, it's only 2 minutes longer. No, in our case, it was like 10 minutes longer. So that's not nothing.
10 minutes longer to save some gas, though.
Yeah. So, as opposed to the 2 minutes the app told us it would be.
Yeah, right. I've noticed that sometimes GPS doesn't take into account hills, and they may say it's quicker to go from point A to point B, but if you're in an electric car or even a gas car, you're climbing up and down a hill, so it affects your mileage quite a bit that way too, where GPS just looks at how the crow flies.
Yeah. Yeah, and so or it'll look at how the crow flies, or it'll look at the fastest route. Let's get you out there on the freeways or on the roads that go the quickest. And so that is one of the hills, stoplights, all that stuff is the thing that the Google Maps green leaf. If you select that one, that it says they take into account. And indeed, following its mapping program, we saved a little fuel.
I have a follow-up question on something you said about how fast you drive. So you said if we go a little slower, we're going to save. I thought that was like the whole impetus behind the 55 mile an hour speed limit.
It was.
Right? Was that because we were going to save money during the 1970 energy crisis, right?
Yeah, but people just got tired.
I was born in 1980. This is news to me.
Know.
You learn me. I don't know about this one.
No, that's right, because we reduced the speed limit to 55 because of the energy crisis.
Right, that was under President Jimmy Carter.
Sammy Hagar, I can't drive 55. The problem wasn't that it was fuel efficient. It was better, but nobody was driving 55.
No. Yeah.
And so let's
now
go to
we're
65.
Up to
now we go to 70 and 75. Now we're up to 80, and we're not being efficient. What were some of the things? So you're thinking of a flat route as opposed to my idea of hills.
Sure.
Harriman to Salt Lake. So were the more efficient routes those that didn't go as fast or didn't hit as many lights, but may have been a little bit more circuitous, a little bit slower?
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. It was when we used the artificial intelligence thing, yes. And, hills is an interesting thing because, I can't think of a really good example where hills would really come into play because the elevation change between Harriman and Salt Lake City, there's no opportunity
Virtually
to go over a mountain, right? I suppose if you're driving from here to, I don't know, someplace, Denver or something, there's a way that goes over a pass or otherwise, but short of that, it's for most daily commuters, it's going to be, more or less. I would think the hills is going to be what the hill is.
Yeah. So I mean, my own commute. Just digressing for just a minute,
Sure.
Matt. You can get to Eden from Salt Lake, either going up Ogden Canyon or going over Trappers Loop.
Sure.
Trappers Loop is faster. It's much faster. But you're climbing a ton and going back down, and that takes a ton of juice out of a car. So it's even going to KSL in the morning, my GPS will always tell me to go that way, but my car will tell me when I get here, you burned more fuel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's 5 minutes faster, but it takes 10 miles more out of your car's.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, and that's one of
mileage.
that's one of the things that artificial intelligence. We didn't test that route, but that's one thing that the artificial intelligence says that it can take into effect. And then, of course, there's the stuff that's not artificial intelligence, not computers, right? We can do all the stuff that our dads used to tell us, which, when you think about it, makes sense, and it adds up more than you might think. The one that always comes to mind for me is I remember I was trying to help one of my colleagues here move a refrigerator, and I was using a furniture dolly that had tires that were underinflated. I might as well have just thrown that thing on my back like a backpack because it was so, that's the same thing. If you're driving on underinflated tires in your car, it's energy. Your car is working that much harder in order to move your butt around. And so little things like that really add up to more fuel efficiency than you might think.
All right. Thanks so much. That was Matt Gebhardt with KSL investigative reporter on how to save gas. But you know another way? Take public transit. So we're going to talk with UTA next to learn about some of the options and share some of our texts that we've gotten. Thanks so much for staying with us.
The weather is about to warm up. That means lawn care. Wouldn't you love a greener, healthier lawn without the hassle? Utah's tough climate doesn't make it easy, but J&J Garden Center has the answer to make it simple. So simple, you can do it yourself. The 5-step lawn care program at J&J Garden Center with Basin's Best Fertilizer is designed just for Utah's unique climate, giving you a thicker, stronger, weed-free lawn all season long. It's easy to apply, affordable, and covers up to 10,000 square feet. Just follow the simple 5-step plan and let Basin's Best Fertilizer do the rest and take the guesswork out of your lawn care. DIY and save big. No expensive lawn services needed. Get started today at J&J Garden Center and watch your lawn turn green with envy. Visit J&J Garden Center in Layton and get growing today. Just take the Layton Parkway exit to Main Street and head west on Gentile. J&J Garden Center. Country grown to your home.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
You deserve a home that's truly your sanctuary. Why are you waiting? Dreammaker Bath & Kitchen helps turn someday into today. A space that works and feels like you. Because design and build live under one roof, your remodel experience stays organized. From the first discovery consultation to the final walkthrough, with one team from start to finish. You deserve a home that you can truly be happy in. And that's possible right now. A clear, structured timeline keeps guesswork out of your kitchen or bath project, and it starts with your budget and a fixed price. Then the detailed plan begins with smart and stylish selections, so you know exactly what to expect. Dreammaker Bath & Kitchen is built on integrity and customer focus, and that shows up in the little things, clean job sites, and proactive updates that keep you fully in the loop. Back nationally and 3 locally owned Wasatch Front locations. Schedule a consultation at dreammaker-remodel.com. That's dreammaker-remodel.com. Enhancing lives, improving homes. dreammaker-remodel.com.
Who is Farm Bureau Financial Services? At our core, we're relationship builders. We're home and auto bundlers, life insurers, farm and ranch protectors, and retirement planners. We're neighbors, community members, and friends. We're the people you can count on now and for years to come. Find a Farm Bureau agent at fbfs.com/protect. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country. and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
All right, we're continuing our discussion of higher gas prices, and I'll tell you a little quick story as we start here before we bring our guest in. But my daughter was in town a couple weeks ago with her family, and she said, "Dad, can you take a car to the airport and leave it for us?" And I thought, yeah, no problem. So I take the car to the airport, I leave it. Now I'm at the airport, and I have no car. So and I've done this before, but UTA has a shuttle stop right there at the airport. You can jump on it. It's cheap. You get on UTA, then you can get off North Temple and get on Front Runner, head north into Ogden. And I thought, how am I going to get from Ogden home east in to where I live? And I was going online. I'm technologically incredibly challenged, so much so that I missed the stop. The irony is that I was so busy trying to find out where to get off that I missed the stop. Anyway, I finally figured it out, and it got me much, much closer. It was much more efficient than I thought. It took a little longer, but I could use my computer. I was doing work while I was on it. You pay a little bit, but I'm sure it's nothing what I would have spent on fuel to get to the same distance.
Interesting. We're gonna talk with UTA. Just one second. I wanted to add just a couple of things from both from Matt Gebhardt that we didn't have a chance to get to, but also our listeners. So one of our listeners let us know that they're like basically memberships that you can belong to, and you can get a discount gas price. So sometimes you see them at gas stations specifically, or you see them at the grocery store. If you shop here, you pay a certain amount of money, then you can get a discount on your gas prices at the gas sold at the grocery store. But here's a couple more from Matt that I didn't know. So keep your oil changes up to date. You might consider removing your cargo carrier off the top, right? Because it makes it it actually drags a little bit more. So he also said lighten the load, and that's interesting because during the winter I keep stuff in the back partially for traction.
Doesn't help
right?
with fuel economy though.
It does not help, right? He also said avoid aggressive driving. So don't floor it when the light turns green or brake hard. That actually can impact your fuel economy up to 30%. I did not know that.
Right.
And then the last one, which I also did not know, is park in the shade.
Yeah, I don't understand how that works, but I guess cooler car
hot temperatures cause fuel to evaporate, says AAA.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Okay, now let's talk UTA.
Yeah, let's bring in Gavin Gustafson from UTA. Gavin, thanks for joining us this morning.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
So tell our listeners who maybe don't ride the bus or the train, and I don't know, it seems like more and more people are. I noticed the other day when I was riding it that it was pretty full. What it is that they're missing out on?
Well, it can be it's sort of what you alluded to, a real easy way to get around, and you're not fighting with traffic. In the grand scheme of things, maybe it'll take you a little bit longer to get from point A to point B because the train does stop to pick people up and drop people off, right? It's not a straight line, right? But you can get some work done. You can kick back and relax. I've ridden Front Runner down to Provo, and I may have dozed off a little bit. Certainly can't do that while you're driving. It's a real easy way to get around. And there's portions of Front Runner where we're going 79 miles an hour, and traffic is stuck going 30, or even if it's moving smoothly, it's not always going 79 or 80 miles an hour. So it can be a real easy and stress-free way to get around.
So I have avoided using public transportation partially because it feels like I already have to drive 20 minutes to even catch something, right, to save me time. And it feels like it doesn't save me time. But what are ways where we could plan our trips maybe, like how much preparation time do people need to be able to take public transportation?
Right. It's not everywhere. You're right. You may need to drive a little bit to get to a park and ride, but from that point to your final destination, it can be an easier ride. It's not necessarily faster. That's not really what it's designed to do. It's designed to move as many people around as possible. And, you're saving the stress, you're saving the parking hassle and perhaps the cost of parking at your final destination. But there are a lot of ways that you can figure out how to get from point A to point B. Certainly on our website, rideuta.com, there's a plan your trip feature there. So you can simply put in your starting and your final destination, and it'll tell you the best way to get from point A to point B. We have a transit app that you can download, and it tracks everything there, has real-time tracking of vehicles, and similarly has a way to plug in your A and B destinations and figure out how to get there. And for, as you alluded at the top, for those of us that maybe are a little less technically inclined, look, you can just show up, and there's a schedule posted, there's a map, there's a map on every train. It's really quite easy to simply show up and figure it out yourself, and it's not terribly complicated.
Gavin, this is kind of a personal question, as all of mine are here as it relates to public transit, but my stress level comes with arriving at the station too close to the time when the train is there or the bus, and I'm at the little kiosk there plugging in the numbers, trying to get my credit card to work, trying to get the pass. What is available to people like me who ride once or twice a week in terms of, I guess, if you're in the ski industry, you'd call it a season pass as opposed to a day pass? How can people find out about those? And I'm speaking absolutely about for myself. And
sure.
What's available?
No, of course. There are different passes available. You can buy You can buy monthly passes. That certainly makes things easier. All of the information is on the website at rideuta.com. That's probably going to be the best source of all of the information. Most universities in fact, I think all universities within our service area do provide a pass to not only the students, but also the faculty and the staff that work at those universities. So that can make it real easy. And then we're actually launching the Fair Pay card coming out next month, that you can get one of those at one of the ticket kiosks, and then that will just automatically apply the proper fare, and it has fare capping. So there's weekly maxes, there's monthly maxes. So for example, it's $2.50 each way on tracks. Well, there's a daily max of $5. So if you ride it twice, you've broken even. If you ride it the third time in a particular day, you're riding for free. So the more you ride, the more you can save. And it makes it easy. You don't have to figure out how to buy a ticket or anything. You just show up, you tap your card, and the fare is applied.
Gavin, I have a question that is coming from one of our listeners on our text line, and they want to know about safety. Is it safe? Sometimes they feel like maybe there's not enough security to take public transportation.
Sure. I mean, it is. You are out in the public, so is it any less safe than walking down the street downtown? I would argue it's the same. There you are going to encounter, people that maybe are, unhoused, right, or homeless. That doesn't necessarily equate to a lack of safety. So, I guess I would encourage people to feel a little bit more comfortable being out in the world and being with people that might be a little bit different than what they see, in their particular neighborhood. But overall safety, we do not have a problem. We do have our own police force, dedicated police force, which is unique to us, and not every transit agency has that. We certainly have a text line and hotline where if people feel unsafe, they can call and reach out to us. And ultimately, if you are on, say, a TRAX train and you feel uncomfortable, there are other cars that you can move to, or you can simply get off if you feel like you have to, and there's going to be another train in 15 minutes. So it's a pretty convenient system we have here.
I have to give a plug to safety, and to answer your question, Holly, as well. When I'm on the train, I am not worried about the driver next to me getting upset.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about somebody cutting me off. I'm not worried about getting tired and missing a lane, drifting off my lane. I think I feel safer absolutely on the train than I do driving my own car, and I think I'm a pretty good driver.
That's fair.
Because I figure, what am I going to do? I can work, I can read, I can text, which, if you're doing it in your car, don't quote me on this. You're creating a problem.
Shouldn't do that.
Anyway. So, Gavin, I would just say that in some respects, the train and the bus are actually safer than driving your own car. That's
a really good point. I'm going to put that into my talking points for sure. how much safer is driving a car on the freeway with, hundreds of other people that you don't know what they're doing or what they're not paying attention to? So, yeah, really good point. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you, Gavin. That was Gavin Gustafson, Senior Public Information Officer for Utah Transit Authority, and I'm a fan of public transportation. I think UTA does a good job here in Utah. When we come back, a St. George woman has been sentenced to prison for a long list of charges, including recruiting children to sell drugs. Unbelievable. We'll bring you the latest on that when we come back, as well as a preliminary hearing that's going on right now in Utah County. We'll talk about that as well.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, 2 Ogden City Council members are coming at odds with ICE over an office space. KSL News Radio's Cameron Elliott has the story.
Ogden City Council members Alicia Washington and Kevin Lundell are pressing for inspections at an ICE office to make sure the office is compliant with city code. This is in response to criticisms from protesters who say the office has been used outside of permitted hours and used to hold detainees overnight, violating the terms of their conditional use permit. A letter released on behalf of the mayor's office disputes the accusations, saying they, quote, have not been substantiated by verified data.
The letter insists ICE is in full compliance with the permit that was issued to them 26 years ago. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, transgender women athletes will now be banned from competing at the Olympics.
Ahead of the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, the International Olympic Committee now says athletes will have to undergo a one-time gene test that would bar transgender women from female competitions. It comes a little over a year after President Trump signed an executive order aimed at banning transgender women from competing in women's sports.
ABC's Mike Dubusky reporting. The Sweet 16 starts today on the men's side of the NCAA tournament. The games tip just after 5, and we will have bracket updates to keep you on top of the action. Brought to you by the Stern Team Omada. The first game features Texas versus Purdue, with Purdue being the heavy favorite. Your money at this moment, let's take a look. Right now, the Dow is down 205. We're at 46,218. Coming up, a cool down for a couple of days. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials. I'm fighting for health care reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes in new inventory every day. Then they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. So you're invited to visit the movie show Friday 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
You deserve a home that's truly your sanctuary. Why are you waiting? Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen helps turn someday into today. A space that works and feels like you. Because design and build live under one roof, your remodel experience stays organized. From the first discovery consultation to the final walkthrough, with one team from start to finish. You deserve a home that you can truly be happy in. And that's possible right now. A clear, structured timeline keeps guesswork out of your kitchen or bath project, and it starts with your budget and a fixed price. Then the detailed plan begins with smart and stylish selections, so you know exactly what to expect. Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen is built on integrity and customer focus, and that shows up in the little things, clean job sites, and proactive updates that keep you fully in the loop. Back nationally and 3 locally owned Wasatch Front locations. Schedule a consultation at dreammaker-remodel.com. That's dreammaker-remodel.com. Enhancing lives, improving homes. dreammaker-remodel.com.
This weekly tax tip is brought to you by the Utah Association of Certified Public Accountants. Here's CEO Susan Spears.
Here's what many people are getting wrong with their income taxes. Most of us fill out a W-4 once and never look at it again. In 2026, many taxpayers will see changes. There are new deductions for overtime and tip income plus other changes. If your withholding doesn't reflect those changes, one of two things can happen. You either give the IRS an interest-free loan all year, or you get hit with a surprise tax bill in filing season. If new deductions lower your tax bill by $3,000, but your withholding never changes, that's about $250 a month coming out of your paycheck that you actually didn't owe. The UACPA suggests that now's the time for a W-4 checkup.
Get the most out of your income tax preparation when you hire a licensed CPA. Visit uacpa.org to find a CPA that's right for you. And check out new tax tip videos by following on social media at Talk to Your CPA.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. And back to you, Cormac.
There are still heavy delays eastbound in Lehigh, both Pioneer Crossing and 2100 North, seeing those slowdowns as you try to get onto I-15. And we also do have some southbound I-15 delays. This is coming from Davis County near Warm Springs Road. That's due to a crash that's blocking the right shoulder on southbound I-15. A little bit of delay there, not too crazy. We also have a crash in Weber County, northbound Highway 89, blocking the right shoulder as you approach the mouth of Weber Canyon. No delays behind them, though. If your roof needs repair or replacement, do it now during S&S Roofing's huge spring sale. Flexible financing options are available. Get the best value on the highest quality roofing job. Get a quote today at snsroofingutah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
The high will only be 65 today, which is much closer to normal than the past few days. We'll stay in the 60s on Friday, then heat back up to the mid-70s on Saturday. Right now, it's sunny and 59 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
You know, we've talked about situations like this before, Holly, where you have a parent who is trying to be the cool parent. But we talked about this last week. A woman that had some kids over at her house and served them alcohol.
She's giving them alcohol like a kid party. Yeah,
that's not the cool parent. That's not the cool parent at all. We're reading today about a St. George woman sentenced to prison after pleading guilty to 3 separate cases involving drug distribution, witness tampering, bribery, including allegations that she actually recruited juveniles to help her sell narcotics. She was using kids, supplying them
not her own, I will say.
Yeah.
She's only 21.
Right, and having kids help her distribute narcotics. I mean, how did she think for a minute? I mean, maybe she's the cool lady down the street, but I mean, that's just, you're exposing children to things they have no business being exposed to.
I don't know, but I might suggest that had she been using these substances, she may have had an altered sense of reality.
Right, yes.
And think it was a good idea.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's, to me, stuff like this is concerning to me on a number of levels. One, because I think kids are vulnerable. Two, because you can get them started down a path when they're young that is harder to overcome when they're adults. I mean, I think it can be different if you're experimenting in your 20s than if you're experimenting in your early teens, right? Your brain is still really actively developing at that point.
And you have to imagine that if you're recruiting children to help you, even teenagers, to help you do something, it's not going to be kept quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, they talk, they brag, they
brag.
They bring their friends involved. I mean, if a kid gets caught, they're going to rat you out in 2 seconds. You know what I mean? Even adults do that too. But you're recruiting people to help you do something illegal. Just one of them's going to get caught in their own sense, and then they're going to. The police always want to know who's supplying you, who's directing you, who's the one that's having you do this. They want to get the ringleader, so to speak.
One of the things that's interesting to me about this case, because of my time spent here on this show with you, learning about the legal system, is it's actually relatively quick. Because so this person in St. George, Cody Lynn Serasio, she's 21. She was already out, and she had not been out of prison very long. She was still wearing an ankle monitor. But the case was filed in November of 2025, and she pled guilty on February 3rd and was just sentenced. So sometimes we talk about cases. In fact,
Right,
the
that
next
take a
case we're going
while.
to talk about is like 2 years ago
Right,
it
right.
happened, right? And we haven't even gotten to the court case. Here, she's already pled guilty and has been sentenced.
Right, and she was charged in November 25. It was her most recent charge. I think
Right.
she'd had 3.
Right.
She had 1, then she's out on probation
Yeah.
or pretrial, I should say. She gets another. You know, at some point it's like, hey, you know, you're better off sitting in jail than staying out and committing more crimes. And so I think there were a total of 3. Police searched her home one day. Some neighbors had called. They found suspected fentanyl pills, marijuana, drug paraphernalia, alcohol. As they started looking into it, they found that she'd recruited a teenager to help her sell drugs. And so, yeah, she went to prison.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, though, really quickly before we transition. So she's going to serve prison, not jail, prison terms of 0 to 5 years and serve concurrently. While she's there, what is her opportunity to maybe get clean herself?
Yeah, and so get clean, I think, includes not only health, her mind, but her body. I mean, you've got to do both. And prisons in Utah offer much more in terms of resources than a jail.
Okay.
Jail is kind of like, you're going to sit here until you go to court. You're going to do your time. There are things offered in jails. I don't mean to downplay that, but there's certainly more offered in prison. So yeah, if she's got a 0 to 5 and she's got several misdemeanors on top of that, she's probably going to serve more like 5 than 0. The best thing she can do, for 2 reasons. One, the best thing she can do is take involved in counseling, take advantage of classes, take advantage of anything you can, because A, it'll get you out sooner, and B, it'll help you so you don't go back again.
Yeah, to get a different kind of lifestyle.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So she has the opportunity to do some things and change her life. And then even if she gets out, when she gets out, which she certainly will someday, she'll be on parole for the balance of the 5 years, and they'll be watching her closely. And if she messes up again,
Right.
his kids get involved in things, she'll go right back and finish her 5-year sentence.
All right. Thanks for that information. Also, today, there's something going on with Michael Aaron Jane down in Utah County. Tell us what's happening.
Yeah, so Michael Jane is the man who is accused of killing the Santaquin police officer. There was a high-speed
truck.
chase, right, with a truck. It ended up going all the way into the Vernal area before he was stopped and arrested. It's a death penalty case. It's a case that the Utah obviously is taking very seriously. Utah County is. And it has taken a long time. Today is day 2 of the preliminary hearing. Now,
Okay.
this case has been going on for 2 years.
Right.
Day 1 of the preliminary hearing was in January.
Oh, wow.
What the judge had done is said, I'm going to have a 3-day preliminary hearing, January 6th, 7th, and 8th. They get done with January 6th, and everybody's like, we need more time. So they come back on March 26th.
Wow.
For day 2 of
Oh,
the
wow.
preliminary hearing. That's a little bit, well, it's way unusual. But it is a capital case. It is a death penalty case because a police officer was involved. And so the state has taken it very seriously. The judges as well. Michael Jane, he's obviously presumed innocent, but he's had issues with his attorneys. He's had issues with the county. He's had issues in the jail, going back and forth. And he has court-appointed attorneys, of course, who are not with the Utah County Public Defender's Office. They're contract attorneys for the same reason we had to do that with the guys
Suspect in Charlie Kirk's
Charlie
killing,
Kirk
yep.
shooting. Yeah, you read my mind so well these days. So you know, it takes a while to get attorneys up to speed. Being a death penalty case, everybody's got to dot all their I's and cross all their T's as well as they can. But yeah, that preliminary hearing commenced this morning at 9. I did speak with one of the attorneys involved in the case who thought it probably would end at noon because they had done so much and in day 1 that case will probably be bound over, and then he'll be held to answer to the charges.
Okay, so let me just ask, we only have a minute left, clarifying. If you say done at noon, does that mean there's going to be a day 3, or this is actually going to conclude this preliminary part at noon-ish?
It will conclude it today. So
Okay.
the judge was liberal and said 3-day preliminary hearing.
Up to,
it's going to
okay.
end up being a day and a half.
Okay.
Of
Separated
overall.
by 2.5 months.
Right, yes.
Okay, and then this preliminary part is to say there's enough evidence. We think we have enough evidence to proceed with the actual trial. Am I understanding that
Exactly
correctly?
right, yes.
Okay.
It's called probable cause, but enough evidence is a better definition.
Okay.
So the judge will say, okay, I've heard enough evidence here. I think there is enough here to go to trial,
Okay.
and that the state has proven, at least by that low standard, probable cause, that a crime was committed and you committed it. We'll let a jury decide if you're guilty.
Right.
It's just a low threshold, a very low standard. Probable cause is really nothing compared to when you go to trial, and it's proof beyond a reasonable doubt to a unanimous satisfaction of all jurors.
Right.
This is just a judge, not just a judge, but it's a judge who says, yeah, I think
There's
the state's
enough.
got a pretty good case here. We're going to let you go to trial.
And then timing-wise?
Well, this has already
Months
taken
more?
2 years. It would be unlikely this would go to trial in 2026.
Oh, my goodness.
Looking at another year, probably. Probably
Wow.
go to trial next year.
Okay. Well, speaking of crimes, or look, have you ever heard of Alpine divorce?
No.
It was something I learned just today. You can go, like, it's when people push you over a cliff, and then, like, you're divorced. We're going to talk
Literally
about
or
hiking
figuratively?
dates. No, literally. We're going to talk about hiking dates and safety and being stranded, but also don't get pushed over a cliff. We'll be right back.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does it feel like someone's stabbing a knife into your heel? Or does your lower back give you problems as the day goes on? The Good Feet store wants to help you, like we helped Ann.
Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. And now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100%.
Wouldn't it be nice to get back to doing what you love, like Patrick did?
I was in constant pain. Somehow my fiance and I found our way into the Good Feet store. Put my foot on the arch support system. I put them in my shoes, my back, my knees, my ankles. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Good Feet store. You gave me my active life back.
Learn more or schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com and come in and get your free personalized fitting at the Good Feet store. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Dear Linex, 8 years ago when I bought one of your spray-on truck bed liners, I started my construction business, then landscaping, then there were the camping trips. But even after all that, my Linex spray-on bed liner still looks great. Thing is, I'd really like to get rid of that old truck. Isn't there any way to destroy this thing?
Actually, no. Linex spray-on bed liners are guaranteed for the life of your truck. Linex, serious protection, killer looks, guaranteed.
Linex of Midvale is now open for business at 7000 South State. Linex and Jordan Camper have teamed up to offer you the very best in protective coatings and truck accessories. We specialize in truck tops and tonneau covers from ARE, a wide range of products from floor mats to step bars. Just what you need to make your truck look and perform its best. Jordan Camper at 7000 South State features multiple installation bays with trained technicians ready to install. Follow us on jordancamper.com and Facebook.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new, it's inherited. A ring from a grandmother, a necklace tucked away in a drawer, pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jeweler specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design, every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. dukesjewelers.com.
Every business starts with an idea. With smart business buying from Amazon Business, get everything you need to grow in one familiar place. From office supplies to IT essentials and maintenance tools. Ready to bring your visions to life? Learn how at amazonbusiness.com.
Save $10 on a pair of Bosch Focus wiper blades. Our professional parts people will even install them for free at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Jackson Hewitt has a great tax prep deal, $149 or less. Missing out is like ignoring the check engine light in your car. You'll regret it. Seriously, the price is only $149 or less, no matter how complicated, so don't wait. Like when you get a password expires today alert or you're shopping online and there's only one item left. It's like your taxes are in the cart, just complete the purchase. Hurry, this deal for $149 or less is like your phone at 1%. It's about to power down. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
As the #1 small business lender, Zions Bank helps entrepreneurs reach and exceed their goals. Visit your local branch or zionsbank.com/SBA. Equal housing lender.
So, you want to be a hero. Here are some ways to get the job. Hunt down that killer shark. Or run into a burning house to save a kitten. Luckily, there's an easier way to become a hero. Call 911 if you see someone experiencing the symptoms of stroke, sudden weakness on one side, or trouble speaking, walking, or seeing. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. You'll be a real hero. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
The new Inside Sources.
Well, this is a new one for me, an Alpine Divorce. And apparently it's where you go on a hiking date and your date thinks you're too slow and they just leave you stranded on the hill. Not a good way. I think hiking maybe isn't the best first date. Although I've done it before and it's really fun. But
I don't know. We're old. I mean, I think it's scarier nowadays. But look, there really is something too about maybe not only leaving people behind, but there actually have been some deaths that have happened. So I want to listen to Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News to learn about this term, Alpine Divorce.
Last summer, we stayed at a hotel up Little Cottonwood Canyon, and from our balcony, we got a bird's eye view of a wedding taking place down below. Beautiful alpine wedding. But have you ever heard of an alpine divorce? The term is trending on social media. Do you know what it is? When you go for a hike and push your spouse off a cliff. That's an alpine divorce. Axios Salt Lake City reports there have been numerous cases of people convicted of murder for giving their partners a final shove. Just last month, a mountain climber was convicted of ditching his wife on the highest peak in Austria, leaving her to freeze to death. Somehow, this guy was only convicted of gross negligence and was given a $12,000 fine. That's it. But on social media right now, an alpine divorce refers to something much more common. When you're on a hike with your spouse and one partner speeds up and leaves the other one in the dust. Like this woman, lost among the red rocks in southern Utah. She is crying, whimpering.
First I was afraid, I was petrified. Kept thinking I could never live without you by my side.
The caption she posted on social media, "This is when you realize he never liked you to begin with." My wife reminds me I left her in the dust once. 15 years ago, we were hiking down from Ben Lomond and there was a rattlesnake. I freaked out because I'm from the East. We don't have rattlesnakes in New York City, so I jumped ahead 10 feet, leaving Heather to fend for herself against this baby rattler. Worse, a random hiker helped her while I whimpered, "Are you okay?" That snake. It's apparently the kind of thing you don't forget even 15 years later. I'm still married, but getting her to forget about that snake, it's been an uphill climb. So my advice is, if you want to stay married, stay close.
Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News, only on KSL News Radio.
So, I mean, it kind of makes me smile, but it's actually really serious and kind of scary, to be honest. So,
no, my wife and I decided to take her mountain biking once. And I've been mountain biking forever. She'd been mountain biking once. And it was just, I mean, she kept falling into the trees, into the rocks and everything. And it was comical to me. But by the end of the ride, I didn't leave her. I didn't leave her on the trail. I thought about it a couple times. But I thought,
sorry,
okay,
Rebecca.
we did our mountain bike ride. We'll never do it again together.
Wow. Well, look, I'm looking at an Axios article, and one of the examples that they gave was a woman who said her date was irritated by her slow pace while hiking to Angel's Landing down in Zion National Park. So after a photo at the top, he joined another woman that he'd met on the trail and left her alone. Like he's like,
Ouch.
Okay, see you later.
Yeah. Angel's Landing is a place where
that's rough, man.
there have been some deaths that could have been related to a domestic situation.
Those are scary.
You missed a step here.
Okay, well, we have with us in studio Caitlin Johnston. She's our producer. She's awesome. She also hosted the Dating at Her Age podcast. And Caitlin, what does this say to you?
Well, number one, this is my worst fear. It's one of my worst fears because I'm directionally challenged. I'll claim it. I get lost very easily. So being left alone and stranded in a place I'm unfamiliar with is just so scary to me. But we on the podcast Dating at Her Age that we did, we always talked about dating safety because it's a different world out there now.
So
Like
different.
it's scary. And as someone who unfortunately has had to go on dates, I have some experience on how to prepare. And like, number one, Greg, I don't think hikes are a good idea for first dates. Maybe give it like 6 months to a year before you maybe do a full background check on the person and all of that, because like it sounds like a great idea, but you don't want to be in a non-service area. You don't want to be alone. Like I say, my first date is like in a public place, like a coffee shop or lunch or something like that, where it's not a full commitment for too long of time if they're creepy and scary, but it's safe so you have people around you and you can leave when you want to. So just be careful about first dates or even within early dating. No hikes.
What you have going for you though, Caitlin, is you're in better shape than probably most of the people you date. So if it is a first date and it's not going particularly well, no, you can just sort of hike a little faster. You can move along and leave the date. Maybe you wouldn't do that.
I just wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't go on the hike. That's pretty much what I would do. But also, that is a good point. But number two, if you are going on any dates, if you're hiking, whatever, make sure you tell people where you're going. Yeah. You share your location. There's an app. Either you can do like Find My Friends on iPhone, or Life 360 is an app that I use that shows you location. Just make sure you know that somebody knows that you are meeting a stranger today or whatever that is, whether you're going on a hike, which you don't do on first dates, remember, or just meeting them for coffee. I think it's important.
Go with another couple.
Or go with another couple, I think is if you know the other couple and you have some people around you, I would say, but I'm still just going to say just avoid it early on. And then number three, like if you do choose to go on a hike, even later in dating, whatever, don't let yourself be the damsel of distress. Make sure that you are the one prepared as well. If you are still, like even people who are in long-term relationships and someone could snap. I don't know. I'm just always what if. I'm a what if person. It's toxic for my brain. But, just plan the route, download the maps, make sure you know where you're going. Bring your own water that's on your body in a backpack or whatever, and snacks so you are okay if you happen to get left or even lost. You could get separated and you don't know. So those are my three tips. But just the dating world it's just spooky out there, and you got to be careful. That's especially when it's new.
To be honest, I mean, that story kind of reminds me of Gabby Petito, right? I mean, going out into the wilderness, and there was more there, of course, but those are some of the things that are scary. And I've taken my family camping, and we had one time where our kids, like, they decided they'd take off on a hike, and they went up and over the top of a small peak. And I couldn't get a hold of them. I was starting to worry. And we were in, this was just day sites, right? Day camping. And there were signs that said, beware of rattlesnakes, speaking of Jeff Kaplan's, right? So my kids, I would tell you, there's no question, some of my kids would take off running, leave everybody else behind. Right?
Yeah, and there's something you just made me think of is the iPhone specifically. It may also be on other phones. They have this satellite feature now.
They do now,
I would say, like, if you're out with anybody and just you might lose service, learn how to use that, because you can send texts on that service. And I've tried it when I was camping, and I was like, this is actually really cool. It's like slower, but if you are in distress, you can just like text somebody like the location you're at and the time, so that when that message goes through, they can find you if you happen to be lost, or even set your voicemail as to your last location if you're worried about that in case your phone dies. So when they try to call you, they'll have
and maybe take a power bank, right?
Yeah, all these things for preparedness. But if you happen, I mean, sometimes I think that this isn't because someone's too slow. I think that it could be men or women, but I think this trend is more women getting left on the mountain, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think they just might be doing it because they don't care. I don't think it's because they're too slow or anything, and it might be even malicious. I don't know. Some people don't always have the great intention, or you made them mad for a minute, and you're like, sorry, you're staying here.
Yeah, one thing I have seen, you mentioned the damsel in distress, and it can go both ways, where people go on a hike and there's a lack of communication as to how difficult or what weather conditions there could be.
Yes.
So if somebody shows up in their T-shirt and shorts, somebody else has got their jacket and raincoat, and they get into an area that's a little problematic. I mean, I think you have to have some understanding as to where you're going and what could potentially happen, so that you're not the damsel in distress where you're sitting there freezing while your partner's got his big jacket on and hoodie and everything.
And I think that a lot of times, like, because hiking can be intimidating for people because, you don't want to get lost, number one. So some people, I don't think it's recommended to go alone when you're new at it, obviously. So you are putting your trust in somebody to kind of, let's go do this fun hike or something. And then they just abandon you, maybe. But it's just, make sure you do your research. It is really important because you can run into conditions that you really don't expect either way.
Well, we know how quickly weather can change, too. So, in fact, I was just looking at today's forecast for Matt Johnson. He said we could get a foot or two of snow at Alta, in the next week.
Great.
I'm like, wait, what?
Great. That's wonderful. Yeah, I don't know. I think the main message is, number one, don't ghost people. Don't leave them alone, and just be safe. Do all the checks.
So, okay, you're saying it's not a first date, though.
No.
I have to share this story we've got from a texter. She said they went to Snowbird on a ski date. It was a snowy blizzard day. My date drifted off into the fog, and I was stranded at the top with winds at 70 miles an hour. I had to be rescued by the ski patrol. He was waiting for me at the bottom. He lost his man card that day, she says.
Well, at least he waited at the bottom. But also,
he waited.
Don't go on ski trips on first dates. Short coffee dates or just soda drink dates
public
or whatever.
Areas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Caitlin. Appreciate it. And, Alpine Divorce, I don't recommend it. All right.
Probably not. And maybe not. You've convinced me now that the first date is not the best place for a difficult hike or difficult ski.
All right. Stay with us. We'll be back after this break.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top local story, story is about the Republican-led lawsuit to repeal Prop 4. It has failed. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
The GOP's goal was to put Utah's redistricting law back on the ballot after a judge tossed the congressional map drawn by Utah legislators and chose a new one that would likely create a Democratic district. That's led to both sides accusing each other of gerrymandering. Republicans launched a signature gathering campaign, but it's gotten a lot of heat, with people claiming they were tricked into signing or that gatherers didn't properly explain what it was. Since then, Better Boundaries launched a signature removal campaign and has gotten roughly 7,000 signatures off, and almost 1,000 of those are in the Salt Lake City area. That means the ballot initiative no longer meets the proper requirements. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
We have also received a statement from Republican Party Chair Robert Axson. He says the party has significant concerns about the practices utilized by the opposition and will continue to review the signature validation and removal process. He added, the fight is not over, but just beginning. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, a JetBlue flight had to turn around after hitting a coyote on the runway in Rhode Island. Crews checked the plane and made sure nothing was damaged before taking off again. Are you ready for the Sweet 16? Among today's men's NCAA tournament games is Arkansas versus Arizona, with Arizona being favored. Illinois also faces Houston in the nightcap game. We'll have bracket updates throughout the Sweet 16 here on KSL News Radio, so you can keep tabs on your bracket. Brought to you by the Stern Team, Omada. Your money at this moment. Right now, the Dow is down 376 points. We're at 46,053. Coming up on KSL News Radio, near normal temperatures for a couple of days. We'll be back in the 60s for a high. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Jackson Hewitt has a great tax prep deal, $149 or less. Missing out is like ignoring the check engine light in your car. You'll regret it. Seriously, the price is only $149 or less, no matter how complicated. So don't wait. Like when you get a password expires today alert or you're shopping online and there's only one item left. It's like your taxes are in the cart. Just complete the purchase. Hurry! This deal for $149 or less is like your phone at 1%. It's about to power down. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Annie's first oil change wasn't as hard as she thought because she went to AutoZone, where a friendly AutoZoner helped her find the right oil and save on an oil filter. He explained the job and showed her free how-tos on AutoZone.com. When she was done, AutoZone recycled her old oil for free. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Only one type of burger. For every pallet. Fries are extra. Large in size. We've got the shakes. Going over the brim.
Hey, this is Chris from JCW's. Put a positive, delicious spin on your day at any one of our 5 locations. In Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, or Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
It's spring. You get outside and it's obvious your house needs painting. Make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. They'll give you a free estimate quickly and at the right price. And they make the entire process easy with reliable updates and communication. They know how important your home is to you. True professionals, they're committed to quality and exceptional service at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. And here's Cormac Bone.
The crash that we had on southbound I-15 near Warm Springs Road has cleared off the road. Delays are working their way out and maybe a little slow as you come into Salt Lake County from Davis County. We do also have a new crash, though, northbound Mountain View corridor approaching the 201 freeway. They're in the left shoulder right there in the intersection. Not seeing any delays behind them, but do be courteous and give them the space so they can safely clean that out off the road. Otherwise, I-15 looking clean and clear all across the Wasatch Front. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
It'll feel much cooler today with a high of 65, which is still a little above normal. 67 tomorrow, and then we're back in the mid to upper 70s through Monday. Right now, it's sunny and 60 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So, Holly, a girl Tomato took her boyfriend Tomato on a hike, and he kept falling behind. And so what did she yell at him?
Catch up!
Catch up!
You did a dad joke. I'm so proud of you.
Well, I thought, Caitlin just reminded me of that. Catch up.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so we're going to do things a little bit out of order today and do some interesting stories and fun facts right now because in our 11 o'clock hour, we are going to spend the entire hour talking with multiple guests about the impacts of war on children. So I'm looking forward to that important conversation. In the meantime, I wanted to share the story, and I just saw this one in KSL.com. So we've been talking multiple times. We've talked about the measles outbreak in Utah. Did you know it's the second largest in the nation?
Utah's is?
Yeah.
Our percentage of
the numbers,
cases.
sheer
Yeah.
numbers,
Oh,
sheer
wow.
numbers. So North Carolina is number 1. We're number 2. I don't want to be number 1.
No.
But this story from KSL.com yesterday reminds people that measles are very, very contagious. In fact, out of 100 people in a room, non-vaccinated, 90 of them will come down with measles if one person has it. Like, it is so contagious. But it is spreading now with exposure at grocery stores, doctors' offices, and even the Linden, Utah Temple Open House.
Yeah, and you know what's frightening to me and people of my generation is you think, I had my vaccine 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Is it still effective?
The answer is maybe not.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Maybe it's time to go get a booster. I don't know how it works, but maybe I'll talk to my doctor about that. I mean, you get measles at my age, it's a problem.
Yeah, you're right. And there's almost 500 cases in Utah, but over 100 of those were reported in the last 3 weeks. So again, like, it's exponential, right? So the more the exposure happens, the more these cases grow. And again, you can be contagious before you show symptoms. So you may not even know you're sick while you're out there and maybe infecting people. So people who might have been exposed need to watch for 3 weeks, 21 days.
Wow, yeah, that's not a good place to be, Utah.
Yeah, so that's one story I did want to talk about. There's some other things too. So today is actually Epilepsy Awareness Day. It's March 26th, and so one of the things that people associate with epilepsy are purple ribbons, right? So we know that there's like pink ribbons for breast cancer awareness. Purple is for epilepsy awareness, and there are over 3.5 million people in the United States with epilepsy, over 50 million worldwide.
Yeah.
Several of my children have had seizure disorder without it being specifically epilepsy, but that's an important thing to know.
Yeah, and it's hard for people that have that ailment because sometimes their doctor will tell them they shouldn't be operating a vehicle, and even though they're probably otherwise safer than the rest of us, but you go into a seizure or something like that, it can really cause a problem.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so today is also the last day that the governor can sign or veto bills. So by the end of the day today, they're all done. Now, he can let a bill go into law without signing it. That's possible, but he's already done a whole bunch. I don't know what the final total is, but he has 540 total to deal with from the legislative session. And then what you'll see coming in the next few weeks is he'll have some ceremonial signings for some specific bills. They'll go to a specific location, but the actual bill, they all have to be signed or vetoed by tonight.
Okay, so this is my question: if the governor doesn't sign it or veto it,
it goes into law without his signature.
So completely off the wall. What's a pocket veto then? I thought that's what a pocket veto.
You can have I think.
That's a weird
maybe
question.
in the United States, right at the federal level, that can work. But here, he can do a line item veto, I understand, on some of the appropriations bills. However, you can't just strike out a part of a bill. So he can't line item veto a couple lines out of one bill he doesn't like. It's either veto or not veto, unless you're specifically dealing with the money. But I don't think he has a pocket veto, but that's a good question.
Yeah, that's how I understand it in Utah, is that if the governor doesn't sign a bill,
it goes into law.
Right?
Yeah, and I think it's the opposite at the federal level. Although I've heard both things, and so I need to find out.
So today's
for sure.
the last day?
Today's the last day. Yep. So also, I wanted to say this. In 1830, this is maybe interesting to some people in our audience. On March 26th, that's the day that the Book of Mormon was first made available for purchase at E.B. Grandin's bookstore in Palmyra, New York. So 1830. In 1910, this is an interesting thing. So the United States has a really interesting history with immigration, I think. We haven't always been that friendly, although I would assert that most of the nation was built by immigrants, recognizing that there were people already living here, people who are native to this land. However, in 1910, the U.S. decided that they were going to forbid immigration to anybody who was a criminal, that makes sense, an anarchist, somebody who was poor, and somebody who was sick.
My word.
So give us you're tired, you're poor. Never mind. Don't come here. Okay.
Right, yeah.
That was 1910.
Thank goodness we don't do that anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm rolling my eyes at you.
Yeah, right.
Okay. We do definitely do that. In 1926, Sandra Day O'Connor was born. She became, of course, the first female U.S. Supreme Court justice. And do you remember who she was nominated by?
Ronald Reagan?
Yep. Ronald Reagan. And that was a campaign promise he made. And so as soon as he got into office, he did it right away. It was just right at the
because that was during
beginning of his tenure.
my legal career. That was, that's sad.
Yeah.
That it took that long to get a female.
It took that long, right? And so, remember the famous quote from Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She said, people asked her how many women need to be on the court before it's enough. And she said, when there are 9. And they're like, what do you mean when there are 9? And she said, there are 9 men and there have been 9 men for most of the existence of the court. Why was that not a problem? But you think having 9 women would be a problem, right? That was her retort. So,
the Utah Supreme Court, to our credit, has a majority of female justices right now. I think we have 5 justices total and 3 are female. So you got to hand it to Utah.
This fun fact is related to vaccines. And so we talked about measles and the measles vaccination and now the cases that are really growing. But in 1953 on this day, Dr. Jonas Salk announced the polio vaccine. And if you remember, this was a miracle, life-changing thing. life-saving too. So the previous year, there were 58,000 new cases in the U.S. alone, and they did a big public education campaign. They literally went into schools and did mass vaccination, and they were able to drop the cases really to almost zero. And remember, polio was deadly, but it could also leave people alive but paralyzed completely, to the point that they had to live out the rest of their life in an iron lung.
Wow.
Breathing for them.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
It was not that long ago, actually. So, okay, I have one last joke for you.
You didn't like mine?
I did love yours.
Okay,
yours was really great.
Thank you.
Now we're going to bookend it. Why is milk the fastest liquid?
I have no idea.
Because before you even blink, it's pasteurized. Like it goes past your eyes.
Okay.
Okay, that's a groaner. Okay.
I think I won.
You did. You win. Your joke was better. Okay, when we come back after this break, we're going to talk again about the effort to repeal Proposition 4, and that has failed. It will not be on the ballot in 2026. And we're going to talk with Taylor Morgan about how it all unfolded. Stay with us.
Imagine all that could happen in 5 years. Jobs change, kids grow up, new memes come and go. But what if you had reliable, intelligent Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Well, thanks to the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to your devices that need the most, that finds and fixes any issues before you even notice. It's like a super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. You get incredible gaming speeds on multiple devices and no one battling for bandwidth for the next 5 years. All your devices will be working in perfect harmony with the equipment, with no annual contracts, no fees, and no strings. So even though your kid will grow up and you still won't understand 6, 7, the price for your sharp, reliable internet will stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Select plans only.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
If you talk and they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
I want more from my checking account. That's why I have Dream Rewards checking from Cyprus Credit Union. I earn points for making everyday purchases, paying my loans, even building my savings. Those points get me awesome rewards like cash back, gift cards, travel, and more. I'm making my everyday spending work for me. Learn more at cypruscu.com.
Cyprus Credit Union, your future is our future.
Insured by NCUA.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
There are many times I thought, I can't do this. I mean, what parent isn't worried about, what am I not doing right? What am I not doing enough? And then I realized, wait, that's being a parent.
Don't worry about being perfect. I've had around 3 other mother figures in my life, but only one of them has taught me how a mother loves.
The greatest reward for me is he makes me better every day.
I would tell a family considering adopting a teenager that teenager, whoever it is, needs you, and they need what you have to offer.
Taylor's giving me hope. He's our son, and that is what he will always be.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Inside Sources.
Okay, we broke the news this morning, but an effort to get on the ballot this November a measure which would repeal Proposition 4 has failed. Not allegedly. It has failed, and there aren't enough signatures anymore to keep that matter on the ballot. And just, I'm going to reset this for just a second. Our guest here can probably do it much better. 2018, voters went to the ballot. They passed what was called Proposition 4, which created a Better Boundaries Commission, which was directed to
independent redistricting.
Yeah, better word for it, the correct word, and which was designed to create a suggested redistricting for the state of Utah. They did that. The legislature said, thanks, that's really great. The Constitution allows that we set time, place, and manner of elections, and did their own. So lawsuits were filed. You're ignoring the citizens' wishes. This has become one of the biggest things. It caused all kinds of consternation between the courts and the legislature this last session. It's still ongoing, but at least this particular chapter seems to be over.
Yes, and this particular chapter began in October. It was led by Republicans in the state, including the chair of the Utah Republican Party, Rob Axson, to get enough signatures to have a citizens initiative be placed on the ballot in November to, again, ask the question, do you want to have an independent redistricting commission? Basically, they wanted to repeal what was put into place in 2018, and they wanted to take it in front of the citizens again. So this morning, as we found out, there were enough signatures removed from one Senate district that this measure will not be on the November ballot. So we have with us Taylor Morgan. He's partner of Morgan May Affairs and executive director of Count My Vote. And Taylor has some experience with citizens initiatives. But first, thanks for joining us, Taylor.
Always a pleasure, Holly and Greg.
I wonder if you could just kind of reset for us what finally made this this initiative fail so that it won't actually end up on the ballot.
Yeah, Holly, this is an incredibly complicated and confusing process, I think, for everyone to follow. I think it's difficult for listeners. This seems to go back and forth all the time. We know that around March 9th, the Prop 4 repeal initiative, sponsored by the Utah Republican Party, had essentially qualified tentatively for the ballot. They had submitted and had verified about 200,000 signatures from Utah voters throughout the state. They had met the minimum required numbers in 26 of Utah's 29 Senate districts. And however, the real issue is they didn't have more than just the 26 out of 29. And in the 26 districts, they had buffers, but they were very vulnerable in a couple Salt Lake County blue-leaning Senate districts, like Senate District 15, represented by Senator Kathleen Reby in the Utah legislature. And those folks that were trying to oppose this initiative, I think, were smart and strategic, and they targeted that Senate district for a signature removal campaign. And we just found out this morning that campaign led to approximately 1,000 voters who had signed the Prop 4 repeal initiatives in Senate District 16 had removed their signatures. That district has fallen below the minimum number required, and so now the Prop 4 repeal initiative will not qualify for the November ballot. We need official word. A proclamation will come from the Lieutenant Governor's office. I believe we're still waiting on that in writing, but the numbers are essentially official and final as of right now.
That's a significant number, Taylor. And we had talked earlier about a similar, and Holly maybe help me with this, thing that happened with respect to the
Count My Vote.
No, the public unions.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And the fact that they gathered enough signatures, but only like 7 or 12 or something.
It was 12 in Salt Lake County wanted their signatures removed.
In this case, we have something like 7,000.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difference, Taylor?
Well, first of all, Holly is also correct here. It's particularly painful for me for obvious reasons, but no matter which side you come down on when it comes to this initiative, I really want to applaud both sides here. A lot of time and effort and strategy and blood, sweat, and tears have gone into this effort on both sides. I know what it feels like to gather a couple 100,000 signatures and then lose everything because your opponent works really hard and smartly to get you off in one district by a few hundred signatures. That happened to me in 2018, as you referenced there, Holly. So I want to point out, Greg, strategically, I think where the opponents of this repeal initiative were particularly smart, they targeted Senate District 15, I believe, in part because they knew Senator Kathleen Reeby herself is running for Congress. She is trying to gather signatures right now in that district from her voters in order to qualify for the Democratic primary ballot for the 1st Congressional District. So by teaming up with Senator Reeby and her supporters, they were able to take multiple packets and removal forms to voters' doors, and they were able to deploy throughout that district, I believe, in a very strategic way. And, I personally am not a huge fan of Prop 4, but I really applaud this removal effort for their success.
So I've got a question for you, Taylor, about the ongoing efforts to undo this independent redistricting commission and also the guardrails that were put in by voters in 2018. So this appears to be, it's going to be not going to be on the ballot, but there's also discussion about a special session to put a constitutional amendment on the ballot that would basically give the legislature sole discretion on redistricting. And as I understand it, there's still a lawsuit in front of the Utah Supreme Court, and that was with the League of Women Voters and the Mormon Women for Ethical Government as plaintiffs in that case. What else is still out there with redistricting?
Oh, what a question, Holly. Let me perhaps simplify this, and we need to take all of this. Everything with Prop 4 goes back to the ruling from the Utah State Supreme Court back in July of 2024, which essentially said that the Utah legislature cannot overstep by changing the language of a ballot initiative after it's passed if the way the legislature changes it violates the intention of the sponsors and is not absolutely necessary in terms of a narrow, compelling government interest. That really is the key here. Everything hinges on that Utah Supreme Court ruling. That ruling is what allowed the Prop 4 litigation to even move forward in the lower court. So the Utah legislature has a few issues on their hands here. Yes, they're very concerned about Prop 4, but ultimately they are most concerned about dealing with somehow in the Utah Constitution reinforcing and clarifying their ultimate supreme power to legislate. That's their concern. That's what they're going to be focused on, I believe, this summer in the special session. We'll see an Amendment D 2.0 perhaps, because if they can get that on the November ballot and if voters pass that, essentially all of this Prop 4 litigation is moot because the Utah legislature will have the power constitutionally to do whatever they would like to do in statute.
And Taylor, would that basically make it so that ballot initiatives in the future, whether it's regarding redistricting or anything else are going to be much more difficult, or maybe we just won't have as many?
Greg, that's a good question, Greg. Looking back on my personal history with initiatives, a lot of your listeners may have forgotten that Count My Vote, for example, we've run 2 initiatives. The first initiative, we never put that on the ballot. We came to a compromise with the legislature, and we withdrew it, and we got SB 54, the dual path, which is held up for 12 years. We ran another initiative, as I said, in 2017, but we got kicked off the ballot for 2018. Initiatives are really tough. Initiatives are more of a very challenging, very expensive way to pressure the legislature politically and through public opinion than they are about making policy. I don't know where we go from here. I know the legislature has concerns about too many initiatives and initiatives becoming too easy. I don't think that's really something to be worried about.
All right. That was Taylor Morgan, partner of Morgan Mays Affairs and a friend of the show and a friend of Holly and I. Thanks for joining us this morning. When we come back, we're going to have a special hour on this show of the impact of war on children. We've got experts from various fields. Stay with us. I think you'll really enjoy this next hour.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. A St. George woman has been sentenced to prison for over a dozen felonies and misdemeanors, including recruiting minors to sell drugs. KSL News Radio's Cameron Elliott has the story.
Cody Serasio was sentenced to 8 third-degree felonies and 5 misdemeanors, stretching from various drug crimes to bribery to witness tampering. In one police document, they say an officer listened through an open window while Serasio called multiple people requesting a ride from a party because she knew the police were on their way. During the calls, she tried to bribe them with offers of free psilocybin mushrooms and marijuana. In another incident, police say she tried to bribe an ex-partner in exchange for silence in a domestic violence incident.
Ultimately, the judge decided she will serve all of these sentences concurrently. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump says Iran is ready to negotiate an end to the war, even as Iranian missiles were sent to Israel overnight.
They are begging to make a deal, not me. They're begging to make a deal. And anybody that saw what was happening over there would understand why they want to make a deal.
At his cabinet meeting this morning, President Trump criticized our NATO allies for not participating in the war. The Sweet 16 starts today on the men's side of the NCAA tournament. The game tips just after 5, and we will have bracket updates to keep you on top of the action. It's brought to you by Stern Team Omada. The first game features Texas versus Purdue, with Purdue being the heavy favorite. Your money at this moment: the Dow is down 286 points. The S&P is down 67 points. And coming up, cooler temperatures today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-551-7672.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-551-7672. That's 800-551-7672.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Let's retrofit and renovate old buildings before it's too late. 45 water pipes and power lines to keep things flowing and get back online.
Brought to you by Envision Utah.
Every day here in Utah, people turn to KSL News Radio for one simple reason: trust. Trust for our reporters, hosts, our coverage, and trust in the businesses heard right here. I've met so many of our listeners over the years, and they'll tell you KSL is part of their daily routine, in the car, at work, at home. And when they hear your business here, it carries the weight of that trust. It isn't just another ad. It's a recommendation coming from a reliable source. When you advertise on KSL News Radio, you reach a loyal, highly engaged audience who listens intentionally. They show up for breaking news, accurate information, and meaningful conversations. And because of that connection, they respond. And when you pair our on-air credibility with digital tools like display advertising, social media, streaming audio, search, geo-targeting, and retargeting, you get a full funnel strategy that works and reaches the right people at the right time. Get marketing that truly moves the needle. Partner with the voice Utah trusts. KSL. Learn more at kslnewsradio.com/advertise.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Here's Michelle Rowe.
Overall, I-15 looking great. We do have a little bit of slowing, though. This is on Pioneer Crossing, making your way eastbound toward 850 East and I-15, so we want to use a few extra minutes to get through that area. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today and tomorrow, we're looking at highs in the 60s. We'll see highs back in the 70s on Saturday. That continues through Monday. Right now, it is 61 and fair. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Greg, it's been nearly a month since the war in Iran began, or the conflict, if you don't want to call it a war.
It started on February 28th. I hadn't realized it was that far away.
Yeah, and today's the 26th, so we're really almost at that 1 month mark. And one of the questions that I have had is my concern as a mom, right? How does war impact children? And you know that I have a history of adopting children from around the world because you've been in orphanages. And so there's different things that they've been exposed to. But I didn't adopt children from war zones, right? Which, first of all, that's not a thing. But second of all, there are just some really deep impacts, and I wanted to talk to some experts about that. So we're super lucky to have in studio with us Deb Berry. Deb is from Wales, like the country. She's the director of humanitarian leadership consulting, but before that, she worked with Save the Children for 22 years. I think you said, Deb. Save the Children is one of the oldest international nonprofit organizations that I'm aware of. And how many countries did you say that you're in?
They're in 119 countries.
119 and 110 years old.
Correct.
Wow.
So Deb has a lot of experience about working with kids in war zones, and she shared at an event I was at in the fall some really impactful stories. I wonder, Deb, if you could just share with our audience a little bit about what it's like on the ground in a war zone.
So when I started in the humanitarian sector 30 years ago, 1 in 10 children was affected by conflict. Wow. Now it's 1 in 5.
Oh, no.
Just in that short period of time. And those numbers aren't just numbers for me. They're real people. They're real children who have gone through something that we cannot imagine. And especially as you introduced this, you talked about the war that's going on in the Middle East right now. In 2006, I was in Lebanon when that war started. And for me right now, I think about those children that I worked with, aged 6 to 16, who are now the parents, trying to find a safe place for these children to go. They know exactly what their children are feeling right now. The fear of having to constantly move. The fear of not knowing, where will you sleep tonight? One of the biggest things that we have been concerned about as Save the Children, for example, and for many other organizations and groups working with children, is that many times people go to a school for safety. What that means is that the normal things that help children really feel resilient is taken away from them. Because now children are no longer able to go to school. And all of a sudden that school that was a safety net becomes the place that can trigger real events about what's happened before. And so my job in these countries is to go in and to really help find out from the children about what does it really mean to you. And one of the stories I think, Holly, that I talked about when we met was one of my first experiences with children who'd gone through a real huge disaster and change in their situation, asked for pen and paper. And they wanted pen and paper so badly so that they could start writing down all of the numbers and letters that they had learnt in school, because they knew that every school would be destroyed because that was a place of safety. You look at Gaza, every single school has been destroyed in Gaza.
Wow.
These children don't have a place to go. And so many of these children, they don't think about the food or am I going to get enough water? They have hope that they will, but what they're really worried already is their future.
What do you think most people maybe misunderstand? You used the word resiliency, and maybe some people overthink that as it relates to kids, that maybe they'll just, 10 years from now, they won't be thinking about it. But what kind of long-term impacts do events like this have on children, notwithstanding their resiliency?
It has a real change on the way that they look and feel about those things that we take for granted. So, for example, a child right now who I met in Jordan had moved, because of the Syria crisis, had moved countries 3 times. So no longer when we think about bricks and mortar being the place of safety, it becomes, how do I build those relationships with people in a healthy relationship? But what happens if I'm going to lose that person? What happens to me now? And one of the biggest concerns that we have is that new crises happen for these children. So if you looked at the Ukraine crisis, I was on that border back in, 4 years ago now, and just 2 days into it. And I asked the children and the parents coming across, those mothers coming across, and I said, what do you need now more than anything else? And they said, we need a SIM card. We need to be able to call home. We need to check on our loved ones who we left behind. They didn't need food or water. They said, please don't show the children the toys right now because I can't carry anything else. These mothers who are having to flee with their children are saying, we can only take the bare minimum. And so children are really learning a very different way as well about what really matters to them. And so resiliency is one of the privileges I have in my whole entire life is to actually say to children, what really matters to you right now? And then when I hear that, that's what really changes my impact and the role that I need to do. I have to go back and say to people, I need 10,000 SIM cards because these children need to keep up those relationships with those that they love. They might not be able to see them. And then parents say to me, how do I say to my child, I don't know what will happen? And so the real impact for these children is that life is constantly changing. But how as we as adults are actually helping them process that, because we put a lot of our own fears onto the children. And that's not what our role is. Our role is to be their constant.
So when you just mentioned, for example, that schools can be safe places, but if they're destroyed in times of war, how do you and how do the parents maybe or communities in those areas, how do they create child-friendly spaces that can feel safe?
So one of the things that I just spoke with a group of young people in Gaza who are aged between the ages of 23 and 26. And they said, their whole university career has finished. And so they said, but we want these children to still have hope. So they find a piece of tarpaulin and they clear some rubble and they talk to the parents and they say, where would you be happy for us to go today with these group of children to teach them? And that location maybe has to change every few days because they don't know where it's going to be a safe place. One of the things that we try to do with the community is to tell them to find a place where they feel safe, but then not have them become too grounded in just that location. So our groups for child-friendly spaces becomes a lot smaller because we don't want to have children become a target.
Deb, we're joined this morning by Deb Barry, Director of Humanitarian and Leadership Consulting. We have about a minute left. Could you just tell us about your agency, what you do?
So one of the things that's super important to us is that in so many children now in these countries, we have to prepare the local leaders to be able to respond. So looking at values-based, trauma-informed work that really helps to build all of those local leaders, especially the young people who are the most amazing first responders. And they are there and they are committed. They know what it was like to be a youth, a child, just a few years ago. They've lived through that fear. And so we help to build their capacity, to provide opportunities and jobs for them, and training, and that real coaching and mentoring support.
So, Deb, we're going to go to a break, but when we come back, I want to ask you about not only what you're seeing on the ground with resilience, which you've mentioned a couple of times, but what can we do? 1 in 5 children impacted by war is just a stunning number. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and they watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror. I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because,
Something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
Amanda, I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, ANDcollar.com.
Grand Staircase Escalante is under attack. Utah politicians are hastily racing to dismantle protections for this special place, one of America's most treasured national monuments and an important part of southern Utah's economy. An overwhelming majority of Utahns support protecting the Grand Staircase for future generations. Yet our voices are being ignored by those meant to represent us. Now's the moment to speak up. Learn more about this attack and what could permanently be lost at suwa.org. Paid for by Southern Utah Wilderness Alliance.
Every day on your way home, you pass it. That one lawn so thick and deep green, it belongs in the big leagues. It sets the bar for the entire street, making every other lawn look like it's still waiting for a wake-up call. Look for the sign of a winner. Big League Lawns. Now, it's your turn. Level the playing field and get the results your home deserves. Go home to a Big League Lawn.
Are mosquitoes still ruining your nights? The kids are finally outside, the string lights are glowing, and the swatting starts. Don't let mosquitoes steal your summer. Call Skeeter Eater, a Utah company built for backyards like yours. Our family-friendly treatments and smart mosquito traps keep the fun going long after sunset. Fewer bites, happier nights, and peace of mind that lasts all season. Book now and get $40 off your first treatment at SkeeterEater.com. Skeeter Eater. Stop the bites. Start the fun.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Take the first step. Visit CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
An expanded Inside Sources.
We're continuing our special discussion on the impact of war on children. And not only has the war in Iran been going for almost a month, but the war in Ukraine has been going for 4 years, a little bit more than 4 years. And there are other war zones around the world that, we're joined by Deb Berry, Director of Humanitarian Leadership Consulting. And in the last segment, you said a number that just shocked me. 1 in 5 children now in the world are impacted by war. Did I get that right?
That's correct. Yeah, 1 in 5. Those are real figures. And to go with that, and again, I'm not a person who likes numbers, but they are real children. 23 children every day are left with a life-changing injury. And that means a completely different way on how we think about what job are they going to do in the future? What's their thoughts and hopes and dreams for getting married, for having their own family, for rebuilding their country? These are real life-changing events that we also don't talk about. And you just mentioned a few of the countries that are at war. There's another just over 120 current countries at war and territories at war now. And that's when we don't think about the ones that make the headlines.
Yeah. Wow.
And what do we learn about people who don't turn their mic on? What do we learn about, just like you mentioned, Iran, a fairly recent conflict, Ukraine, maybe a couple years older, and then you go to Gaza, even older still. I mean, what kind of effects are we seeing long term, as these things continue to progress and people are displaced?
And now people aren't as shocked when they hear that there's another war. They say, oh, there's another war. Oh, I'll just turn off the TV for a little bit now. But actually, those wars sometimes are becoming closer to home as well. And so we have to actually think about how are we talking about these wars? We're also seeing the largest number of refugees right now, who are people, when you look at the real terminology, are people who are fleeing conflict and persecution, and majorities from wars. I met 2 amazing young men just a few months ago from Ukraine who were about to turn 18, and they fled to Poland because they were so scared. And they did not want to pick up a weapon. Mm-hmm. They did not want to shoot somebody. They said, we're loyal to our country, but we don't want that to happen to us. And so we're also seeing these young people having to make really difficult decisions very early on in their lives because it is a real situation. And so we may see something happening. And Ukraine was a wonderful example of that for me because it was in Europe. Mm-hmm. And as you said at the beginning, I'm from Wales. We didn't think of things coming as close to home. But for children, I worked with a lot of children in Wales as well as working internationally. And one of the schools that I work with, the children in the school said, oh, Deb's gone to Ukraine. Deb's gone to the border. What can we do to help? And the reason I work with this school in Wales is because it is one of the poorest places. Child poverty is real right there on that doorstep. And these children said, we want to fundraise. We're going to do a sponsored walk. On the day of that sponsored walk, it was absolutely coming down with rain and hail. And the teacher said, please cancel. And the children said, absolutely no way. If it's raining for us today, how will it be for the children of Ukraine who are raining down with bullets and missiles? We must walk. There was not a teacher or a parent in the poorest area of that country who did not put their hand in their pocket or learn from those children. It was life-changing. And so do we let our children in our communities actually allow them to do something and to feel that connection? They started putting flags up around the villages saying, Ukrainian children, if you come for sanctuary, we will love you and protect you. These children in the world of things had nothing, but they did want to make a difference. And so if I had to leave any message, it's about also start talking to your children about what's happening in the world. Just bite sizes, but they're real children. We would take away so much of the hatred, so much of the frustration and the anxious parts that we have if we just said, how can we help other children? What would we do if we were in this situation? Would we, what's in your go bag? One of my favorite questions to ask children is, what did you put in your bag? And I will never forget, if you'll just give me 1 minute of this for this story, is this wonderful little girl that I met was 9 years old. And I asked the same question to her, what did you put in your bag when you had to flee? She had moved to her third country. She was only 9. And in her bag, she hadn't put in all of her extra set of clothes, which her mum really wanted her to do. She had put in all of the different hair braids and all of the different hair accessories and all of her little jewels that she had into her bag because she said, I want my new friends in this Zaatari refugee camp to feel some joy. And that is children at their heart. She didn't know who her new friends were going to be, but she'd moved countries enough times that she knew she couldn't go back to Syria, but if she found some more friends, she was going to bring them joy. These children are amazing examples to us of how we should be treating other people who, and children have that ability to show unconditional love.
That is really amazing. So you're making me emotional, which I do from time to time on the radio. But I wanted to ask you, what can we, so you mentioned talk to our kids, but what can we as adults do? We're over here in the United States, and it may feel like the war's getting a little closer in Iran if we're talking about maybe sending troops, but we're still pretty removed. What can we do to really make a difference here?
First of all, I think it's really important to find a majority of different stories about also what's happening on the ground. So finding out about the real lives of some of those amazing change makers. And when you look and you put in a change maker for a country, you see all of these groups of young people coming up. Change the way that we talk about people who are in countries and what it would mean like. So if we started to change some of our terminology and think, that country is really being affected, I wonder what's actually happening to those children. When I watch the news, I don't think the politics side. I think, what can I do to really help? Do I know a group who needs some support? Yes, I'm in a privileged position that I can pick up the phone and find local groups to support, but you can do that as well. There are people in your community that you might never have met or said hello to. How can you be a welcoming place if there's people who are escaping war coming into your community? Could you even start to just change your way of education or talking about it? How are you going to talk to your children tonight about what is happening in the world? Are you just going to pretend that Iran hasn't happened and the Middle East conflict hasn't happened? Or are you going to talk about, if there was ever a place for us to have a war here, what would you really feel comfortable with? I have that conversation with my nieces and nephews, not to scare them, but to really help them to know there's a plan in place. When you have a plan in place, resiliency comes a lot better. And so then you look at people and you look with compassion and you look with love. And that's what these children and young people especially are really changing for us now.
When Iran was invaded in the very first hours of it, one of the things that has struck most people more than anything else was the school, the kids. And I remember seeing, Deb, pictures of the children on their grave sites. It was, I don't know what it was about that, and I don't know that there's even a question here, but it seems like when something like that happens, and we see it from the outside, war is different. It's really looked at differently than two armies going at it, because these kids were happy, they were dancing, they were playing 1 minute earlier, and then this tragic thing happens. And so you wonder what the kids in the neighboring community or the kids in this other school next door, it's got to just play on the parent. The impact of that is something that's just we can't even describe.
Right. As you were talking about that, it reminded me, I was in Ukraine 12 years ago when the first invasion came from Russia. And I remember being in Donetsk and one of the bombs hitting. And I remember doing that first, oh my gosh. And this group of children said, it's okay, that's a good half a mile away. Can we carry on with class today?
Oh my word.
You know, and that is, the children begin to really contextualize that. And they will say, yes, that school it's far away. Please don't close down our school. And so one of the things that we're often saying is, schools are such places of sanctuary for these children. We know people need shelter, but don't take all those classrooms. Because that gives the children a sense of their peers coming together. It gives them a sense of normalcy. It gives them a sense of structure and safety and a future for education. So, you know, sometimes we look and go, just put them in that school. But actually, what are you taking away from children, especially when we go back of how many children are affected and how many children now will have a disability and may never have the opportunity to finish their education. And so we need to protect those really special places.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. That was Deb Barry, Director of Humanitarian and Leadership Consulting. And when we come back next, we're going to talk to a psychologist on how trauma impacts kids. Stay with us.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. Deer Valley joins the ranks of resorts that have closed early, and it's raising questions about what we can expect next year. CEO of Ski Utah, Nathan Rafferty, says he's sure it'll be better next year, but he is among the first to admit that the ski season was not ideal.
You know, it's part of being a snow farmer / skier is you get what you get and make do with what you got. And the ski conditions this year were actually better than most people thought. I had some great days myself, and when I was talking to people that were getting off the slopes, they had a blast, just not what we're used to as Utah locals, that's for sure.
Deer Valley planned to roll out 8 new lifts and 100 new trails this season, but many of them were unable to open. Are you ready for the Sweet 16? Among today's NCAA tournament games is Arkansas versus Arizona, with Arizona being favored. Illinois is facing Houston in the nightcap game. We will have bracket updates throughout the Sweet 16 here on KSL News Radio, so you can keep tabs on your bracket. It's brought to you by the Sturm Team Omada. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 397 points. The S&P is down 80 points. And coming up, we could finally see some rain next week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio. High five! Up top!
Dave's company just got the 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Yeah! It's 5 years of gig speed internet, advanced security, and a great rate that won't change. All from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
Heck yeah!
He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread.
Yes!
The Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee. Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping.
Woo! For a limited time, now through March 29th, switch to Comcast Business to lock in your rate for 5 years and get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig bundle. Or ask how to get started with 150 megabit internet and Security Edge for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Don't wait. Call today. Restrictions apply. New customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. Paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account required. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees.
Does your home have peeling paint or faded colors? Don't procrastinate. You need to protect your home with quality paint and a worry-free process, so make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. You quickly get a free estimate that's detailed, easy to understand, and then their trusted local professionals will bring fresh color to your home with quality craftsmanship at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro.com.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials.
I'm fighting for healthcare reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Help elevate your company's pride with workplace tips from Cintas. The right workwear helps your team look and perform their best. Cintas has work apparel for almost any job imaginable. Your team gets garments that are breathable, comfortable, and hold up to any job. Cintas even handles laundry and delivery every week with no upfront investment. It's all part of Apparel Plus from Cintas. Learn more at Cintas.com.
Jackson Hewitt has a great tax prep deal, $149 or less. Missing out is like ignoring the check engine light in your car. You'll regret it. Seriously, the price is only $149 or less, no matter how complicated, so don't wait. Like when you get a password expires today alert or you're shopping online and there's only one item left. It's like your taxes are in the cart, just complete the purchase. Hurry, this deal for $149 or less is like your phone at 1%. It's about to power down. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s. Brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. Here's Michelle Rowe.
Again, I-15 running at posted speeds from Ogden to Provo and beyond. We're still seeing some slowdowns, though. This is on eastbound Pioneer Crossing, approaching I-15 through the construction zone, and then a little bit of slowing building right around the 201 on Banketer Highway. The UTA, it's never just a ride from point A to point B. They move independence, they move purpose, they move memories, they move what matters, you. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Highs in the mid-60s today and tomorrow. Then we're back up to upper 70s over the weekend. We could see a storm move in on Monday, continue through Tuesday. That would bring temperatures back down to the 60s. Right now to 61 and partly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We are talking with clinical psychologist Dr. Tom Golightly, and we've been having a discussion about war and its impacts on children. And I wanted to ask you, even maybe from a 30,000-foot view, how does trauma impact children broadly?
There's something that it tends to get in the way with, especially for younger children, as their brain is developing. If there's so much attention going to the environment, it really gets in the way of normal brain development. So neurons aren't connecting the same way for children that are in stable environments. So that being said, there's going to be some difficulties with mental development, social development, and academic development. And if we think about it from a frame of hierarchy of needs, if our physiological needs are at threat of not being met, if our safety needs are at threat of not being met, we're of course not going to be able to move on to love and belonging, to self-esteem, and all of those things. We're paying attention to more basal, more fundamental needs. And so the impact is quite far-reaching and creates very difficult long-term struggles for younger children and teens that are experiencing war-torn environments.
Tom, it's hard to imagine a less stable environment than a community at war. What do we know about children who are exposed to that, especially at younger ages?
Well, especially at younger ages, what we see from a behavioral standpoint is we see a lot of individuals that aren't able to kind of sit and stay. So because of the activity, we might see behavioral issues. We might see something that we would kind of say is a hyperactivity disorder, an ADHD or something like that. But it's really a response to all of the chaos around them. You see hypervigilance, which is being really sensitive to sensory stimulation in the environment, and behaviors that are kind of aimed at identifying threats. And if you're constantly under threat, then you're going to have a hypervigilance, which was going to look a lot like an anxiety disorder or constantly mistrusting individuals. They're going to struggle to make relationships with others. They're not going to know what relationships mean. They could have had parents that were sent off for long periods of time or deployed. And so there's just a very broad spectrum of social issues that are involved there, but also from the behavioral side, a lot of anxiety, of course, post-traumatic stress disorder, but there could be just long-term impacts on how they try to control their environment to maintain things that could appear or give off the air of being chaotic around them.
Dr. Golightly, you just mentioned parents who deploy. So for kids who are living in a war zone, that's one thing. What about the kids here in the United States whose parents may be deployed to a war zone? How is it similar and how is it different?
Well, that's something that I can speak to a little bit. My father was in the Air Force, and it was during the Cold War mostly, but before the end of his career, he was deployed to the Gulf War. And I know I was a sophomore in high school at the time, and the first couple of weeks he was gone, school was hard. It was something that I not necessarily enjoyed doing, but was good at doing. I played sports. I was involved in a lot of things. And there's a level of distraction that I remember in my life from that. And it was just constantly there. It's almost like a dull headache that you just feel and is always just there in the back of your mind. And so for those children of military families, it can be a thing. And those behavioral markers that I just mentioned, of course, would apply there. We would see it more in acting out as children and teens don't have necessarily the same vocabulary or, the emotional development to be able to put words to what they're feeling. We're going to see it in behavioral ways more than than they're going to be able to tell us verbally. So I believe, from personal experience and having seen it in some children now that I'm practicing, I think it's really important that we're aware of those behavioral changes, attitudinal changes that could occur during deployment.
Tom, when you mentioned the long-term impacts that some of these conflicts have on children, is there hope at the end of the day? Is there treatment that's available, or do some of these children have permanent effects? That
would kind of be a case-by-case basis, I think. I do think that most psychological disorders respond very, very well to treatment. So as we studied this, as we're more systematic in our approach to some of these things, I think there are ways to treat this. So people are helped all the time with hypervigilance, with PTSD, with ADHD, with emotional disorders. We didn't get into grief and loss, but, those are all things that are going to have some impact. I think of all of us with grief and loss. Things aren't ever really the same after a significant loss, but we move through and we move on and we find meaning in it. And as long as we get them to the right resources and we get them out of those environments, of course, we can stabilize what their life is going to look like and how they respond to social, academic, and intellectual demands. And we can do that very well if we get them to the right place.
Dr. Golightly, I have one final question, and that is generational impacts. So you talked about kids who grow up and being able to treat them if they need that additional help. How does growing up under this kind of trauma impact maybe their parenting?
I think that's an insightful question. We're, of course, going to be influenced by that. I think back to the greatest generation. How are they influenced by living through the Depression, right? And how they parented and that principle of scarcity. I do think those impacts, like I mentioned, looking for threats, being aware of the threat around you all the time, it's going to impact people. I think that happens with every generation, and all of those behaviors that you have to do to survive often get in the way of us just living and trying to thrive. And so those survival instincts are hard to shake, and they're probably going to bleed into those parenting styles, throughout the generation.
So how can we help kids that have been through this?
I think one of the big things that we can do is help remind them that they are safe, that they are stable, that they don't have to be in that mode where they're constantly trying to find a threat. The biggest thing, but this is all, of course, after they're out of those situations, but just helping them see that there is stability and be aware that when they're acting out, that might be something that is an emotional reaction, that it's not just someone that's trying to be defiant or wants to act up, but that there is a reason behind the acting out. So if that's ADHD, or if that's a little more anger, or maybe fighting with friends a little bit more than they normally would, I think it's really important to attend to it, ask questions about it. Just ask them what's going on, help them try to put words to it. But of course, if it's feeling overwhelming and we're not able to attend to those things through normal parenting, then get them help. Go see a physician, go see a child psychologist, someone that might be able to help them process and understand what's going on and make some behavioral changes there.
All right. Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Dr. Tom Golightly, a clinical psychologist, about the impacts of trauma on kids and even future generations.
We'll be right back.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Hi, Grandma. What's for dinner?
Hey, honey, I'm making stew tonight.
Ooh, can Nina come over?
I'm not sure about our new friend. I wonder if there's been any drinking going on. Alcohol at her age can lead to so many bad things. I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink?
Grandma?
This is hard. She's so young, but I know I need to talk to her about it now before someone tries to give her alcohol. If anyone ever does offer you a drink, I want you to say no. I have too much respect for my family, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
Really?
I promise, Grandma. I love you too.
Okay, how about tasting this stew and telling me what you think?
Some children may try alcohol as young as 9 years old. It's not too early to talk about drinking. For tips on how to begin the conversation, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Botanica SLC brings fresh variety to downtown Salt Lake with non-alcoholic drinks and a curated selection of products from independent makers. It's a great place to shop and enjoy all downtown has to offer. Owner Kate Reiser joins us with more.
Botanica is a specialty non-alcoholic bottle shop and gourmet grocer located in downtown Salt Lake City. We focus on premium alcohol-free wines, spirits, and ready-to-drink cocktails, along with curated pantry goods from small independent producers. The non-alcoholic beverage category is one of the fastest growing segments, and Botanica was created to meet that demand. We offer sophisticated alternatives for consumers who want high-quality options without alcohol. As a small woman-owned business, we are committed to supporting minority-owned and mission-driven brands. Every product we carry is intentionally selected for quality, values, and craftsmanship. Beyond retail, Botanica serves as a community gathering space. We host workshops, tastings, and cultural events. Our mission is simple: better for you goods. Check us out at botanicaslc.com.
By supporting Botanica, you're helping strengthen Salt Lake's small business community and create space for independent makers to grow. Shops like this add character to downtown and play an important role in building a more vibrant local economy. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
We're continuing our special hour of talking about the impacts of war on children. And we had the opportunity to talk with Deb Berry, who has worked with children around the world. And she's based in Wales, so she's got a really different type of experience. And I thought that was super valuable. We also listened to and talked to a clinical psychologist about the impacts of trauma on children. And I wanted to talk with Dr. Austin Neppe from Utah State University. He's the director of the Haravy Peace Institute. And I wanted to talk to him today about both community trauma and community resilience. So thanks for joining us again today, Dr. Neppe.
Thanks for having me back. It's great to be here.
So I think it's such an important conversation that we have. And I first of all, I really admire the work that you're doing at the Haravy Peace Institute. It's a heavy lift, and I really appreciate it. But I wanted to know if you could talk to us about the idea of community trauma. What happens when an entire community, for example, in times of war, is under trauma?
Well, what happens is it really degrades not just the physical infrastructure of a community, but the emotional infrastructure. And most importantly, it degrades social trust. So when you're in a community where there's been victimization, violent victimization by either government forces or rebel forces, it not only degrades your local trust in the government or the opposition, but also trust among neighbors. People are suspicious that they're being, that their neighbors are collaborators or supporting an opposition group. People are targeted for violence or mistrust based on some social identity category, like their race, ethnicity, or religion. And what it does is it degrades the wellspring of trust you need for a variety of different things that move beyond simple governance and the provision of basic needs. So it's really degrading across a number of different facets.
What possibly can be said or done for a community such as the one in Iran that surrounded a girls' grade school? I mean, I can't even imagine how that community even continues to function, but they have to. What kind of emotion is going on right now in that area?
Well, I haven't talked with any of the victims' families to tell you for sure, but what I would imagine is going on is that there is really complicated, complex emotions. On the one hand, I'm guessing that most average Iranians are not particularly thrilled or happy with the current regime, either the theocracy in place or the military facet of the regime. And on the other, they hope that perhaps the Americans would help them change that regime, but they don't appreciate being bombed, displaced, or occupied by foreign power. So it's quite complex. I have some Iranian friends, and to paraphrase, they feel like they're in the middle of a divorce battle between two parents, and they don't have a parent there to advocate or protect them. And so I thought that was kind of an apt analogy about how Iranian civilians really feel betrayed by their own government, but also by the Israeli and American government as well.
Yeah, that is complicated. How do communities then heal from something like this? How do they come together?
Well, there's a number of different mechanisms. It depends on if the violence came from outside, like a military occupation, or if it came from within the community. When it comes within the community, there's a whole bunch of different programs that fall under this umbrella of transitional justice. Some of the most popular you've probably heard of are things like Truth and Reconciliation Committees, military tribunals, reform of the security services. And those are years, if not decades-long process to come to terms with what happened by telling the truth in settings where both victims and perpetrators can share their memories in a way that helps adjudicate what happened without forfeiting justice. So that's what happens from within communities. From without, like the situation in southern Iran, it starts with the military power responsible publicly acknowledging the damage and then making amends politically, financially, et cetera. So it depends on what scenario you're talking about.
And what about the resilience of a community? I guess I'm thinking a little bit here about the people in Gaza. They're displaced. They come back. They're displaced. Sometimes they don't come back. But it seems like there's this sense of community, at least with a lot of people, that they're even if it's to dig through the rubble, they want to go back. They want to be at their home again. They want to be in that community again. What is it about the sense of community that causes people to do that, even in the face of putting themselves in danger again, almost?
Yeah, of course. I think it makes a lot of sense, and we would encounter the same thing here in Utah in our home communities. People have deep attachments to the memory, the land, the history that goes with where they live, and they can withstand a lot of physical immiseration if they have social bonds intact. If those social bonds are shattered because family, friends, members of a work or tribal group have left, then it makes it much more difficult to exercise resilience in the face of violence, right? So you need to think about those different layers. The physical resilience, meaning basic biological and physical needs on the one hand, and then the emotional needs of the social identity, a sense of belonging, a sense of meaning or purpose, exercising resilience or steadfastness in the face of suffering, right? That often has a religious component for many people. So I tend to think about it as kind of a layered phenomena.
So, Dr. Nuppy, I was looking at, I think, some work that you were involved in with Yemen talking about community resilience. Can you share just a little bit about what that looked like there?
Yeah, sure. So I've been researching about Yemenis in the face confronting political violence. What I'm more excited about, other than the academic work, is honestly the work we do with students. So the Dharavi Peace Institute partners with emerging adults and university students in the southern city of Aden. And what we do is, this is supported by the U.S. State Department in a grant through the Stevens Initiative, is to have a series of Zoom trainings and talks where I have cohorts of Utah State University students and cohorts of these Yemeni college students getting together in conversation, and they work on a common project. And what we have them do is develop a podcast episode on various topics related to conflict that they share across their communities. One of my favorite that we're doing now is looking at the role of art in bearing witness and telling difficult truths in the midst of conflict. So both my university students in Logan and my students in Yemen, in Aden, Yemen, appreciate or can share how art is a medium that allows them to bear witness in times of conflict. And it's a really powerful collaboration, even though it's done mostly remotely.
What kind of response are you getting from the Yemeni students? I mean, that seems like an incredible idea, and it seems like it could be very powerful. What are you getting back in terms of feedback?
It's great. Most of the students go to a local computer lab with an NGO called Ahmed East, which is supporting education initiatives across the Middle East. They have to go to the computer lab to access the internet, and we can't have our Zoom calls when the electricity goes out, because that means, of course, they don't have internet access. So they're gracious, resilient, really flexible, creates lots of hurdles when it comes to collaborating, but it's an eye-opening experience both to my Utah students and our Yemenis. We hope to meet them face-to-face, do some training together in Amman, Jordan. We had plans to do that in May, but those plans are on hold now given the current conflict. But our ultimate hope is to have enough funds and support to bring cohorts of American and Yemeni college students together to collaborate over a week-long workshop, so those relationships can sustain once they finish the course or once they graduate from their respective institutions.
That's really incredible. We're speaking with Dr. Austin Neppe, the director of the Haravy Peace Institute up at Utah State University. And I have one just final question for you, Dr. Neppe, and that is, what can we do here? I'm not a college student. I live in Utah. I feel safe here. What can I do to help?
Well, that's a great question. I think even for those of us that feel fairly secure in terms of our material needs, we have plenty of neighbors and people in the community that are not in that situation, either because they're not U.S. citizens or they're here as guest workers or a variety of situations. So the first thing you can do is be a source of encouragement, help, and curiosity to people in the community that may be on your own neighborhood block that are experiencing political turmoil in a very different light. Right, to reach out, engage with them, practice some active, curious listening, get involved in community initiatives that put you in rooms with people that you're not particularly comfortable with because they're not of your class, religious background, or socioeconomic status. That's the first step, to just be aware of that variety of insecurities or fears that exist in your own community. And then once you build those bonds, then that allows you to not only build the head knowledge you need to be resilient, but also the emotional well springs. We have folks from all over the world that are affected by the conflict, especially in Iran, right? Utah has lots of Persian expats. Some came in the late 1970s. Others are relatively recent because they're students or professors. But we have plenty of Iranians that are affected directly by the conflict right now. So go out and get to know them.
Wonderful. And I love the idea of the college students getting together. That was Austin Neppe.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Utah State University, director of Haravy Peace Institute. When we come back, Midday with Maria Shilaos will be up next with all of today's news. Get us caught up. Stay with us on KSL News Radio.